what was your impression of Ny'alotha as a whole? How would you rate it compared to the other raids of this expansion?
I think, yeah. It
That's
had a lot
okay.
of good bosses and a good end boss.
Now, let's move on to a couple of questions before we wrap this thing up. Well, guys, I'm glad you're all here. I'm gonna do the big reveal of all our guests and myself included. Hopefully this doesn't break. Let me check. Okay. So, welcome to the Method to the Madness, first ever podcast. Today with us, we have... Boom. The beautiful Jeeth the Bell, aka Jeeth, who unfortunately doesn't have a webcam today, but still beautiful as always. Hello, Jeeth.
Good morning.
There you go.
I actually do have a webcam. That is me live right now, as you're all familiar with my range of motion during progress.
Yes, exactly. By the way, chat, let us know in the chat if someone is too loud, too low. I know everyone wants me to put Jeeth at max volume, but we need to keep it consistent, so okay. Let us know. And then we have Merez, the youngest by far in this podcast. So, hello, Merez.
Hello, hello.
Okay. There you go. Think everyone could be turned up a bit. Yeah, hold on. Let's introduce our last guest. Just wait, the oldest member of Method.
Okay, I was about to say, don't call me the oldest here. I don't think
no. The oldest member of Method.
At the podcast
yeah,
today.
At the podcast.
Sko will be there, all of us.
Yeah. So, everything good, guys, with the sound? Just doing a check. Excellent. I don't see any complaints. So, today we're going to be talking. There's going to be two topics. We're going to try to separate it so that we keep it easy for everyone to follow through. The first topic we're going to be talking about is the Ny'alotha as a raid, doing a review of it, talking about the good things, the bad things, and going boss by boss to do a review of how well developed those bosses were, which bosses impressed us, which mechanics, which were kind of you know. Turn up. Okay, one sec. I can't do that right now.
Are you gonna screw up the cameras?
Yeah, I think I might screw up the cameras if I change something. Is it? I don't think it's too bad though, right?
I don't know. We don't see it yet.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or are you talking about the sound?
Yeah. It's fine. So, and because we have this amazing production value, guys, here, we're gonna be able to watch live YouTube videos all together. It's gonna be beautiful. But to get things started, do you guys gonna go through all of you and ask you what was your impression of Ny'alotha as a whole? How would you rate it compared to the other raids of this expansion? Is it a raid you wanna go back to? Let's say visually, like when you, let's say in a couple of expansions, when you come back, will you be like, oh, look how nice this is, or will you be like, oof, I'm glad I'm not back here? So starting off with Just Wait. So what was your?
I don't want to come back to this raid.
You don't wanna. You didn't like it.
No. It's not specifically the bosses, but more how the whole raid race went, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling behind and stuff like that. Some of the boss encounters are actually fun now on farm and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, how the race played out for us, it's not something I want to remember. Let's put it that way.
Okay. No. So for you, it's like more of the how we progressed as a guild that ruined the experience for you. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's respectable. What about you, Jeeth?
I think ignoring how it progressed for us, which getting world second something I'm very, very used to, so that didn't really faze me as much as it may have. Just Wait. I thought that there are two different answers, right? The raid itself, I think, was probably really, really good. The existence of weaponized corruption trivialized it and made it bad.
True.
I think if you had gotten rid of all the weaponized corruption and the fights had lasted, 20 or 30% longer, I think that many of them would have been extremely good fights. There were some unique mechanics. There were some interesting, soft enrages and things, but instead they were all much shorter than they should have been and turned into an easy raid.
Some fights couldn't last longer though. For example, Ilganaut, we were hitting like the hard berserk there, for example. It's not like they had the tuning off with the numbers in terms of damage.
Yeah, I'm thinking about more like Vexiona, for example, where if you had lasted another 30 or 40 seconds in the last phase, it would have felt really, really rough. Or Raden, or any of the other fights that could have been multi-day progress fights instead of a few hours. Carapace obviously springs to mind with the massive amount of AoE damage that people brought.
Yeah, I can agree to that as well. Personally, I think the gearing and the strength of the characters a lot of times makes fights. I don't know how, like, it trivializes them to the point where you don't get to experience them properly. For example, I could go back to Emerald Nightmare was a good example of that, where I remember I was thinking, oh, look, this dragon boss is gonna be insane, and then we just pull it and we kill it in like an hour. So definitely could.
What about the last boss in Emerald Nightmare?
Yeah, that's true as well. Turn everyone up. Okay. Can do that. Okay, guys, we're gonna do some magic here. Gonna do.
Well, everyone except for GT he said.
Yeah. Okay, look, I'm gonna do this. Ooh, it's a lie. I just don't want to mess something up. Okay. Then I'm gonna do this. And I'm gonna do this. It's a break, guys. Let's go.
Fix the
There
mics.
we go.
Let's have a break time, boys.
And we should be back. Oh no, never mind. Why didn't? Oh, right. Here we go.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Now it should be fixed. Here we go.
Another break. Okay.
We should be back.
Yeah, I mean, there's a method to our madness at the end of the day, guys. Don't worry.
Oh, we're back.
There we go. It's fine. All good. Okay, guys. Lastly, it was I'm hoping everything is okay now with the volume. What about you, Maris? What are your thoughts on Nya'lotha as a whole before we go boss by boss?
I personally need to say, I think I enjoyed the raid up until the last two bosses, and then it went downhill a lot. Because I enjoyed, like, Vexiona was obviously the worst, but Raden was a cool fight in my opinion, Il'gynoth was a cool fight, also some other fights had some unique elements more or less, and then we came to Carapace, where it was pretty awful, and the Zor was probably the worst end boss I've played so far, in my opinion.
But what would you say compared to the other raids of this expansion?
I enjoyed the other raids more. Way more.
Okay, yeah. Why did you change something? Maybe because you
No,
are...
I didn't move a single...
You didn't move.
I can up myself if you want.
Yeah, can you do that?
Sure, bro.
Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Rip headphone New Year soon.
Because I
maybe it should
think...
be fine now.
Oh, okay, a little bit less,
Okay, wait, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, this is the middle.
Saved.
Is it fine now?
Saved. I think it's fine.
Okay, perfect.
So now, okay, there we go. We have our initial opinions. Also, chat, let us know let us know what you felt. Give a score to the Nya'lotha raid overall, and then we're gonna try to see out boss by boss, like out of 10, what is the score you would give to this raid? Basically, let us know in the chat. In the meantime, let me do some extensive, crazy scene swap, and then we can get
to a break, or
no break. That's the trick. We need to keep pulling at this point. This should be it. Oh, beautiful. All right, guys. So, the first boss, right? That oops. Okay. Let me just. I want to see chat at the same time. I can't do that if I do this. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the first boss that obviously we're gonna go from start to finish was Wrathion. Boom! Fog in the chat for that, guys. Yeah, you guys, we have to wait for it to load, of course. Why crazy transition there?
Stream delay.
Whoa.
Oh, there
Whoa.
it is.
Chad is in the future. Wait,
Oh, no,
are we in the future or is Chad in the future?
I feel
I don't-
I feel squished.
No, we are. I think we are in the future voice-wise, but like we can't see it because Roger is talking to us from the future. So
Yes. Whew. Okay. So just gonna be playing the video in the background. Of course, it's a little bit distinct with you guys, but just so we can all see and appreciate this boss. Have some nice music as well in the background. But let's go. Starting with Jith this time. What did you think of Wrathion? Of course, like I don't expect you to be like, yeah, really easy boss and stuff. Just
Yeah, of
imagine it
course.
like as a standalone boss, the mechanics and all that. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a fine first boss. Healers kind of got to do a little bit of a job on that fight if they wanted to by soaking the scale, which I thought was kind of neat. I save a sky step for that. And the only part that's a little bit annoying is as a holy paladin, you're expected to give your freedom to a tank or Naga, whichever one screams the loudest at the moment, and then stand AFK in the middle and not heal for a while. But that's okay because it's a pretty easy boss.
Right. Any thoughts in terms of the tanking just wait of this boss? Like what?
Nah, tanking wise, it's all pretty standard stuff where you just swap on 2 stacks and stuff like that. But as G mentioned, right, the whole freedom thing. If you're playing a tank that can't freedom themselves, you kind of rely on other people, right? Like, what if you have a raid without any freedoms? It's kind of weird how you would have to do the tanking because you're forced to move out and into a position because you can't be behind him, you can't be in front of him.
True.
So it's a bit weird there that you're forced to move, yet you need to reset your stack somehow because you move way more than any of the other players in the raid. But besides that, it's an alright fight for the first boss. It's a bit hard compared to other raids, I feel like, for a first boss for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it does feel a bit more intricate and as a first boss compared to, let's say, the Eternal Palace first boss, where you can kind of just YOLO it and it dies. Here it feels a bit more well thought out, I would say.
Actually, Roger,
Yeah.
the Eternal Palace first boss was also way harder than if you compare to BOD.
VOD.
I think BOD was the freest boss ever. That was basically trash loot.
What
Just
is
serve
that?
the boss, hey, you win.
I don't know
Yeah.
that boss. What is it?
No, I don't know. It was just nuke boss, nuke ads, yeah? And we had a vigor that said go boss and go ads, and then the boss died. I don't know. It was...
that amazing mechanic. You switch
Yeah.
DPS and that's it.
Yeah, exactly. And you need to
Excellent.
turn around, but
Yeah. I must say the thing that impressed me the most on this boss is the room, though. Yeah, I'm surprised how beautiful this room is for a first boss. Like this, I felt could be the boss room for the end boss almost. Don't know if you guys share my RP.
The end boss just an empty room, or I don't think I agree on that one.
I mean, I don't know. I thought it looked really cool.
I'm here.
Okay.
but in general, I need to agree. The room is pretty cool because it's also like you don't have walls behind you when you look around. What is
No
pretty
camera issues.
pretty unique, yeah. No camera issues in a small room.
Okay. Anything else you guys want to add about Wrathion? I think I would give this boss, like, for a first boss, I would give it a 9 out of 10, actually. I'm quite pleased with how this boss plays out.
9. Oof.
Yeah, I think it's a really good first boss. Thinking back to past first bosses, one of
Yeah.
the best ones of the expansion.
Yeah, I agree.
You guys share my my
Even
scoring?
though I need to say, it really depends what class you play. Because if you play a wheelchair and you need to call for freedom, the boss is probably a 5 out of 10. But if you play a decent class that has no problems with mobility, it's like a 9 out of 10.
As DPS actually, I wonder now. Do you actually reset your stacks? Because you just stand still for 30 seconds, so you don't get a debuff. You just
Yeah, no, normally you can reset. Yeah, you only need to dodge on the Gale Winds, I think it's called, or Gale Burst.
Yeah.
Well, that's
to
only
get
for melee.
the
Rage
debuff.
stands out of that anyways.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
just
no,
disengage
because
and it
it
resets.
spawns like puddles under you, yeah. So you get like 2 or 3 stacks max.
Ah, alright, sure. But that's at the end of the phase anyways.
Yeah, it's pretty chill as a
Mhm.
DPS.
For me, it was 2 out of 10. Okay.
2 out of 10. For me it's 8.
So then, moving on to Maut. There we go.
Oh,
We
no.
don't get to see Narco. That's
Oof.
bad.
What? Narco?
Yeah, he was about to play on this video, man.
Oh,
Poor
I'm
Narco.
sorry.
You
You
didn't
guys-
prepare 12 tabs. Oh no.
No, I
Oh,
didn't.
guys.
What? Hey, listen. If you guys want to check out these videos, make sure to check out YouTube/method GG. I think, right? You can find all these videos, of course. So moving on to Maut. Pretty simple boss. You don't really have to move a lot. But again, I do think I like this boss overall. Because it has like this adrenaline rush of, oh, I'm popping DPS but I'm dying at the same time. That keeps me on my toes personally. But what did you guys think? Especially during progress, of course. Like, how would you rate this boss starting with Meres this time?
I think as a DPS, it was fine. I think it was an okay boss. I don't think I didn't really get the adrenaline rush when I was dying. I was more like a little bit scared, I need to say.
Yeah.
But in general, I think the boss was cool. Yeah, it had the element that multi-dot classes could gain something from the ads, and it had like a burst phase where you need to save CD. So overall, I think it was a decent boss, even though the mythic mechanic was kind of useless in my opinion. But
Yeah.
that's often the case on the first boss.
What was the mythic mechanic? For anyone that doesn't know.
Curse.
The curse? Yeah.
Do people even realize this? I think not that much.
Oh,
No, on
Basically,
progress people, I know that
Yeah.
on progress people didn't realize because people that didn't realize got dispelled, so they never really noticed anything. So.
it's this thing, by the way, chat. Ancient curse. You get it. You need to step in or the zone or get dispelled, basically. So not really much difference. It's pretty yikes. What about you, Jeeth, as a healer? I'm sure this boss is exciting. You get to decide who lives and who dies in phase 2.
Oh, you get to decide who lives and who dies, except for what Infinite Stars does, I guess.
Right,
I thought it was a
right.
pretty good boss for a fairly early boss. It had 2 different one-shot mechanics, which makes you pay attention a little bit, and then you have to do a lot of healing phase 2. The only part that's really annoying for a healer that's based around timings, like Disc Priest or Holy Paladin, is the extreme inconsistency in when he switches to phase 2, which is just dependent on like the mana stuff, and that can like vary by over a minute. So depending on how you played, maybe you just don't have your cooldowns going into phase 2 and you're like, sorry guys, I'm only going to do 10 HPS and it's my fault that you're dying.
Very over a minute. Doesn't
Yeah.
sound right.
Not well, it
It's more like between the start of the first time you go into phase 2 and then the second time maybe, because you're longer in that. But the phase 1 should always be kind of the same. At least in terms of the tanking, I always try to drag it in around the same time pretty much. So
Yeah,
the phasing shouldn't vary by 1 minute.
I think it varies a little bit because people often step into the poop and then the boss gains more mana. But it
Yeah,
is-
but I drag the ads in depending on when the third ad is about to spawn, which that's not related to his mana though.
True.
I was gonna say, actually, I'm not sure if the whole mechanic of these ads worked out as intended. Like, do you guys
Yeah.
think the developers thought, yeah, let's make this ad, and then people just
I'm-
put them into the boss? I
To be
think
honest,
the idea
from
was
one
that you kill them outside of the boss, but I'm not sure if guilds even do that. Do they? I mean, I
I
know
don't think
we
anyone
don't.
kills the ads.
Well, sometimes they just die to multi-daughters.
Yeah.
But that's it basically.
Chat, let us know. Do you kill the ads on Mount, or do you just blast boss? Okay. But go on.
I do feel like this boss is good in terms of there's more ways to handle things, because you are able to kill the ads and not drag them in. You are able to just drag them in and have shorter phases. And the same way with the curse, you can either make people run in or curse them.
Mm-hmm.
There's lots of choices to be made at least. But in terms of what the ads actually like, how they expected us to do it, I have no idea.
Yeah.
You can, for the tanking wise as well, like you're supposed to not have them cast the Dark Offering, which gives the boss mana.
Right.
But you can also just tank them inside the circles and they will never cast it. Or you can tank them outside and only drag them in when they're going to cast.
When they're casting, yeah.
But when they're inside, they are supposed to take less magic damage. I'm not sure if they even take less magic damage.
I have no idea.
It says
I know.
the tooltip says that they're supposed to take less magic damage, but when you tank them in there, they're still dying. So I'm not sure if they even take less damage.
Yeah,
It's a bit
not sure
it's a bit
either.
weird. Things are a bit weird, and
I
yeah,
don't.
but in the end of the day,
yeah.
it's easy. So
I think only warlocks havoc those odds basically, and just destroy
Chat
them.
is saying they are immune when inside, but I do see them lose mana, so I'm not sure.
I think it's the boss draining the mana though. I'm not.
Oh, I have
No,
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 idea.
no. But while they are inside the pools,
Right.
it drains 2% mana per second from whoever's in there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably what's draining their mana.
Oh yeah, and it's giving it to
Instead
the
of
boss.
instead of just doing damage to us.
Ah.
I'm not sure if it's feeding it to the boss though when the ads are in there. But who knows?
Oh, who knows, man? Who knows?
It's these mechanics
It's
are
okay.
like that's the whole point about this boss. It's like, you know, it's all so a bit unclear.
Wait,
It's not...
what was that?
What happened?
Wait, what?
didn't
What are you watching?
didn't
Yeah,
didn't
like
know
you
this
in the
happened.
future, Roger.
Didn't know this happened. A quick transmorphic tincture mid kill.
Wait,
Beautiful.
mid kill.
Oh, this power transmog quick.
Wait a second.
Uh, I didn't expect this. Excellent. Okay.
I don't know a lot about tanking, but it feels from an external POV that this is like a more interesting tank fight than almost ever happens, right? Because you're in charge of the timing and moving ads around and soaking balls and like doing more
Yeah,
than
it's not your
just
typical swap mechanic. It's like, you know, you actually have to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Although I mean, the guy that's tanking the boss is kind of, you know, he just tanks the boss and he doesn't do anything else. That's the boring part. The guy that's handling the ads has the interesting job, at least. If you do it properly as well by moving them in and out of the pools, it's yeah, it's more fun than just standing there.
Okay. Overall, though, would you say this boss was a good one? Yeah, because I would say yes. Like I'm pleased with it overall.
I like the flow of the boss for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
thumbs up on this boss, guys. All around. Any complaints? Any funny moments maybe you remember from this boss? I think.
Funny moment. That's mostly on farm where he just oops.
Yeah.
Ad went,
Yeah, I guess the ad.
oops, ad went in too late.
The ad
stuff
went
like
too
that.
late, yeah, and then you're stuck with an ad, and then you need to DPS.
And
Like-
you blast harder.
You need to do some big damn there, yeah. Yeah. Pro tip, by the way, do tell your holy paladins to give you beacon on this fight. Does help a lot. It's
But they only have one beacon for or two, I guess. Maybe. I don't know
Yeah.
if they spec it.
one.
if you don't ask for it, then you don't get it, though. That's how it
That's
is.
true.
That's-
If you're my favorite guy in the guild, you get it without
Yeah.
asking.
Yeah,
And the loot guy.
we'll get to it. We'll get to it when I got it on another
Roger is
boss.
master looter, right? So yeah.
Okay. So let's see. Next boss would be Skitra.
Oof.
Yeah, pre-nerf.
So
That's a big oof.
Pre-nerf.
Prefix, I guess.
okay. So Jasri, go ahead. What do you think about this boss? The initial way it was implemented and now, like.
I mean, now it's better because the fight's even faster than it was before, right?
Mhm.
But I do like the mechanic of where you have to find the things. It's just, yeah, it happens so fast these first weeks before they changed it to be 66% instead of every 20%. It's just a bit boring. I don't know. It's there's so little mechanics. Even if the walls spawn, it's not that hard. But then again, we're like a bunch of monkeys shouting, "Oh, don't go here! Follow this guy! Follow this guy!" It does make it like a fun 5 minutes, I guess. Or well, how long is it? Probably like 4 minutes even, not longer than that.
Mhm.
There's
As a
not much
tank,
happening with it.
as a tank, does this boss do anything really? No, not much, or.
Nah, you can solo tank this soon.
Yeah.
I don't even know why we're not solo tanking it. If I
Mhm.
think back.
Any other thoughts, Jeeth, Maris, on this boss? I don't think there's too
No.
much to talk about it.
No, this boss sucks.
This boss, I would say so as well. The thing is, it's just too much emphasis on this one mechanic of disappearing,
Finding.
right?
Yeah.
And it didn't really play out as nicely.
I remember on the PTR, like the very first time we tested this boss, That's what it was actually interesting, because the AoE damage from those ads, like if you didn't actually
Oh,
blast
yeah.
them and they had so much health, like the boss was fucking wrecking us.
The famous Lorgok quote there. I think this boss is overtuned, guys.
It was definitely a little bit overtuned.
A little
yeah.
bit, a little bit. Yeah.
At least it was fun back then. Like now it's too easy, and it just goes so fast between the phases.
Yeah. Feels like a target dummy as well, I would say.
A moving
So-
target dummy.
So definitely a bit of a disappointment on this one. Do y'all all guys agree? Any redeeming thing you could say? Anything you would? Yeah.
Yeah, the thing that I would change, I think it would be a cooler boss if instead of there being a line of ads, every person had or people got paired up and like ads. I don't know how to design it, but ads like follow you and can't be CC'd, and one person in the team can see them and the other person can't. So you have to identify someone that's of the opposite side and then follow them around instead of like as it is, you just ignore the mythic mechanic, right? Scripe and Roger do it, and I just fucking go where they tell me to, and it doesn't matter to me at all. If there was something that made you actually pay attention to it and say, okay, so I can see that Nagi has the other phase for me, so I'm going to follow him, and I'll be safe, and he'll do the same, that would be cool. I don't know how to implement it, but something that made us do it in some way.
Make it like a trust test, basically. You know, when you blindfold someone and you like just follow me and you trust the guy to bring you to safety, but then he trolls you and just drags you through the wave. That would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sounds like
EA
a-
messes and walks
Sounds
through.
like an even more complicated way of doing paranoia.
Yeah, like basically the waves as well. Instead of being just a straight line, it could be a bit more sporadic, and you would have to follow people around, kinda, to not get hit. Yeah, kind of like if you remember Durumu, you know the path that was opening up in front of you. Something similar to that, maybe.
What dungeon was Durumu? Like you? Oh, I remember.
Throne
now.
of Thunder.
Throne of Thunder.
Throne of Thunder.
Yeah. Where you
Yeah.
had to move from his laser.
That was a cool boss.
Let me see
That's a long time ago.
if I can find it. Yeah, like this phase here, chat. Okay, where you would. Wow, the quality is really bad.
I mean, what year is
What?
this? Yeah, come on. There was a 1080p.
No,
What's
no.
this?
Okay.
And it was you recording. Oh.
Oh, it's Roger's point of view even.
Yeah,
the quality's
yeah.
really
Yeah,
bad.
Yeah, But yeah, here, like how you opened the path, could be done something similar, right? Like with the ads coming in weird angles. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
But
But
yeah,
maybe a little bit too challenging for a third boss, Roger.
True. I don't know. I do not like that boss, although he did drop my bow last week, so it's all good. Then moving on, I guess we can go to
Which of the
Xanesh.
three?
Xanesh.
Oh, no.
Whew. Now that's a spicy boss, if I've ever seen one.
I think that's where we lost the most time out of all of the early bosses.
This is the
end
when the
boss,
fall
actually.
started. When the fall
Yeah.
started, guys. Yikes.
Good one, dude. That lost me.
Okay, so let's start with you, just wait on this one.
Nice bench, good break.
You were benched, right? Or
I'm,
so
Yeah,
looking
it was-
at it from the outside, how painful was it to see people wipe to it?
well, when I saw the wipes at like 20%, I was like, all right, they got this soon. And then 2 hours later, they still don't have it. Like that was like, yeah, that was kind of disappointing. Yeah, I didn't expect that, to be honest. In the end of the day, I
Yeah.
was kind of hoping for more consistency on this boss from the guild itself.
Mm-hmm. I guess you could
Yeah,
say
sorry,
progress
didn't
is a bit deceiving on this one. Like, you might just got the
Yeah.
lucky strike and then.
But at the end of the day, there's like 2 patterns every team had to learn, right? Like, how
Mhm.
hard can it be? Sure, imagine if everyone fucks up once, and you do all. Well, how many did we do? 4 waves.
Yeah, 4 waves. Yeah.
So you have 4 times 3 is 12, and then everyone gets to fuck up twice because you have 2 patterns. So that's what 24. So in theory, like if everyone fucks up only their knock once on each side, you only have like 24 wipes and you kill it on the 25th. But how many wipes? How many wipes did we have?
I
It
think
could
like
have been done in
50.
way fewer wipes. But there's also the second dimension of coordination on there, which is kicks. Right, you've got not only kicking the ball but also kicking the ads. And
Yeah, I don't know how many
both
wipes
wipe
were
good every now
to
and then. Yeah.
failing that. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Why did Narco tank this? Was it just gear or what was it?
Yeah, I
Oh,
think
well, it didn't drop any gear, and it would help with kicking because he could avenge your
Right.
shield the ads more.
Ah, true.
Just
true,
random
true.
kicks to help out with that. I mean,
Mhm.
it wasn't really need. It's not like it's a big need or something, but
Right.
every little bit helps in progress. So why not?
Mhm. Well, what did you think of the new mechanic? Like, let's talk about that. Like, was it a cool mechanic? Did you enjoy it? Do you think they should do more of these things, or were you like, it's a little, wonky, a little, how do you call it? That gamer word that people use. Not the bad word. Clunky. There you go. Was it clunky? I don't know. People were saying if you're a Tauren, it's a little different how you hit the ball. What do you think about this new mechanic?
From me, from the outside, I mean, I've done it now myself as well on farm and stuff, but I feel like they kind of overdid it with the tightness on some of the places.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just seeing that you just having a group having it to knock it 3 times, where no one can knock it twice, and then you have to kick the ads would have been kind of enough already. I feel
Yeah.
like they went a bit overboard with how tight the gaps were on the some of the areas. Because that's some of them are really rough. It's like in how do you call it? What's it, yards in the in game, right? It's shit like
Yeah.
1 or 2 yards and you're already screwed because it's gonna hit.
I think maybe go on.
No, that's paired with the game mechanic, obviously, that you kick the ball with the shoulder or like a little bit of the middle of your character, and you can't really aim properly. I don't know. I think it had some problems for sure. But in
I
general,
think it had. Oh, I'm sorry, Marinus. Go ahead, please.
Oh no, but I think in general the boss was like the idea was cool.
Yeah, for sure. The
Yeah.
idea is good.
Yeah,
That's all I was going to say. I think that there were very minor technical problems, but honestly, I think they're quite minor. If your guy hits with your shoulder, you should learn that after 1 or 2 mistakes. If there's a tight thing, you should learn where to position after 1 or 2 mistakes, and your kicking partner can help with that a lot. That's not like a huge deal. I thought that it was a really cool, unique set of mechanics that synergized together really well with how you kick the ball, and that spawns the ad, and then you have to kick the ads, and you move around. I thought that was neat. Yeah.
Sounds like you like the boss.
I mean, yeah, I think it's a good boss.
Okay. I think that maybe the one thing you guys didn't talk about yet, which I think is the biggest problem with it, because I like the mechanic in general as well, but the fact that it's a insta raid wipe if you hit the wall, I think is the bad part of it, because it's not like an end boss of a wing. And I think that's perhaps a bit too punishing. I mean, even the greatest basketballers of all time, they miss a free throw from time to time, right? Like no one has 100% accuracy. So if they just made it that it's not like an instant raid wipe, but instead maybe, if the ball hits a wall, it bounces back and it does like a big damage to the group.
Like
or
in
something.
heroic. So you can fuck up once.
No, but it
next-
bounces back, like, and then you need to still hit it and get it in. Right, but
Yeah,
there is some
maybe-
kind of outplay.
Yeah, because then you would spawn extra ads, and it would still be harder to play.
Yeah, the
and
more you have
divert
to
damage
bounce
from the
them.
boss.
Yeah, that's true. But then again, you could also choose to knock it more in the first place.
Yeah, or to
not
spawn
take
4
the
ads
damage.
and make it easier. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, we could have
I don't
done.
know.
We could have gone for 4. Actually, no, you can't go for 4. Yeah, well, you can.
Well, you
Wait.
can.
Can the first guy do it again? How many times can you actually knock it?
No, you can do it 2 times. The 3rd time kills you, as far as I know.
Yeah,
Okay.
You can do it twice. You can do it twice in a row.
Okay, so you can do 4 knocks, no problem then.
You can,
But
yeah.
yeah.
Maybe the ads are a bit too much HP, but at
No,
least
no, no.
I don't know.
The first
This,
ad will be dead before you. So
this,
the
this
guys will
feeling
be
of
kicking-
someone hit the wall and then you all wipe. I mean, it is exciting, I guess, in a sense, but
But it
Yeah.
gave kind of Kill Jaden flashbacks, yeah, for me.
yeah, like insta
When you
wipes.
see the puddle unsoaked and then everyone goes.
See, that was frustrating. This was a weird boss for me because I wasn't assigned to anything, so I couldn't open my mouth. Right? You can't say, guys, why are we
Right.
missing our soak when you're not assigned to soak anything? That looks really bad. But it was frustrating to be like, this is method. How do you not stand in your circle? Like I don't mind the wipes to missed kicks. You got to learn how to kick it. That takes practice. It shouldn't take practice to stand in the circle.
That's true.
That's
F
true.
to all the wipes to people not getting in on the circles, yeah, or going on the wrong circle. Oof, that is a bad way to go, guys. Let me tell you. Okay, but overall, I would say it's good that they're trying with these cool new mechanics. I think that's a nice thing. They don't just make bosses boring. Maybe the interpretation could have been a bit better, but good idea in my opinion. Do you guys agree overall? Thumbs up
Yeah.
on this boss in general, or
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up for sure. It's just sad that you can't really meme around.
okay, thumbs up.
Like in
Especially on
Heroic, you could meme around. Like it would be fun if you can just meme around with the orb a bit more and farm, for example. But now it's like, every time we get to this boss, everyone's like, okay, boys, let's get serious
Yeah.
because we don't want to get stuck here.
You should be able to bounce it back and forth 1 yard apart on the boss, spawn 30 ads, and let people AoE. It's fun.
Oh, imagine that.
And you just tremor totem him. Oh man,
Yep,
that would be insane.
When
Get some
you-
DPS rankings
When,
on the
when
last
Roger
wave.
needs the DPS ranking when we public log.
when
Then
yeah,
go ahead, Roger.
when I type method to go to the next boss and the suggestion is method world first. Oof,
Feels bad, man.
feels
I also
bad,
see
man.
the world first merch. Yeah?
Method man, bring the pain.
Hey. Okay, so moving on. After Xanesh, it is Vexiona, right? In that wing. Let's just do wing
Yes.
by wing.
Yep.
Okay, so Vexiona I think is a pretty interesting one. But let's start off with a DPS point of view actually, because this boss is definitely
Oh,
a big damn boss, right?
Just blast.
So
all about the pump. Yeah.
all about the pump. So what do you think, Mares? Did you enjoy this fight? And anything that annoyed you?
I think it was in general it was a good fight, but it was not worthy of a wing end boss fight in my opinion. Like it was
compared to Raden and Il'gynoth, you mean?
Exactly. Like Raden and Il'gynoth were cool wing end boss fights in my opinion, but Vexiona was just a big who does the most damage fight and then the boss dies basically.
I see.
Maybe
So-
the shadow should have spawned from the beginning of the fight.
Oh yeah, that would have made it way harder. I agree.
Like, why
For
not?
sure.
Screw it. Have
Yeah.
have her up from the beginning. It's you can deal with it for sure.
Oh, for sure. Or maybe how's it called? I forgot the name. Like you're just gonna have the shadow in the beginning, but then nerf the grip ads because I think the grip ads were really frustrating on the boss sometimes. Like I think they should have fixed it either way that you can't get grip when you have a circle, like when you have the enveloping shadows.
Yeah, that
But
was
it
horrible.
grips the
That's
first
bad.
wave targets, right? So
Yeah,
can outplay it.
you could outplay it, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
it was definitely not.
Yeah, we
a
just saw
ideal
it
mechanic.
here actually. We just saw it. Like, look, like me and Potter, we get the circles, we start to go away,
and instant
and then
grip.
get flanked back in, and then we.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have time to move out. Oh, he gets gripped again. Feels bad. Unlucky for Potter.
No,
bit-
but yeah,
bit
that's
annoying.
I think that in general could have been fixed, but I think the boss was okay, but it was not really worthy compared to Il'gynoth and Raden in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a fun boss as a DPS for sure because it was not fun for me because I didn't do damage. I was single targeting the boss. But apart from that, for everyone who was AoEing, was probably a fun boss in the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, definitely a lot of AoE to be done in this boss. Here's where your inner DPS whore comes alive. But what about healing this boss actually? Am I correct to say that phase 1 is kind of meh? But
Oh yeah,
phase
it's an extremely boring boss to heal.
Okay.
There's no like triage healing or people in a lot of danger. Everyone takes the exact same amount of AoE damage all times. You just need to pay attention to the despair and dispel the other tank. This is the boss that, from a healing perspective, if corruption hadn't existed, I think could have been really, really good because the last phase healing gets intense, and if that last phase lasts an extra 30 seconds to a minute, then it's really hard. But
Mhm.
because it doesn't.
Yeah, what about the second phase though? Like, do you think? Because I'm pretty sure the idea was not that people stack up, because then you get this debuff on everyone, right?
That's only when they when
When-
they go out, or
No. So yeah, when you get these
Like-
circles in the last phase, everyone gets a stack, and that doesn't go away anymore, right?
Yeah, but you could like spread out and stack up in between those.
Yeah, but we like I don't think many
Ignored it,
guilds do
yeah.
that. You just
No, I
take
mean
the stacks and blast.
because it's not needed, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So phase 2, I remember on PTR, right? Like we played this boss, really overtuned a bit. Like it felt like, damn, like we're gonna be struggling on this one.
Well, we played it once overtuned, and once we just killed it in like 2
Oh.
minutes, I think.
Oh, did we?
That was the heroic testing.
I was
I
gonna say,
see,
I
right,
I
okay.
don't think in mythic testing we got past.
In
phase
mythic
one.
testing, we didn't
Because
get
it was
anywhere.
it was quite
Exactly.
overtuned at that
Mhm.
point. Or our gear was undertuned because we were like testing in heroic item level gear. Could be either one of them.
I must say the one thing that will forever be in my memory of this boss is the birth of Pineapple. What do you guys in the chat? What do you call the back of like this end of the room? Yeah. So let's say the dragon is gonna breathe as he just did here. What do you call this area? Because this one is entrance, this one is middle. What is this area?
I still don't know how you can call it pineapple. Like I don't know where it
It's
came
just
from.
a
To be honest.
it's just a random like just something that is out there, you know?
Just
Yeah,
a random word.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I've learned in the last 2 tiers playing with Roger. Is he likes code words, right?
Yeah.
Orderly barrier,
It's
pineapple.
It's an
the
army
code
thing,
words.
I guess.
Yeah.
Ads. Yeah, a lot of people say ads.
Yeah, that also makes sense, Roger.
Yeah. Could have been.
Like I don't want to flame you here, but pineapple is a little bit trolling.
The problem is not
thing
all the rooms have edges, right? Like what do you do if a boss has the same room but it was not an edge? It was just a wall there. What do you say?
Well,
You-
in that case,
you
obviously,
call it
would be
wall.
Well, actually someone is saying wall, but I don't know why. There is no wall. That doesn't what?
I don't know.
Pineapple
The funniest
definitely.
thing about the pineapple for me was that like a week after progress, I did a heroic viewer raid, and without even thinking about it, I said move away from pineapple. And everyone in the raid,
Oh,
because
no.
I forgot we didn't stream with comms. They were just like, "What?"
What? Call it a world marker color. Yeah.
That's true. You can put down a word marker as well.
That's effort though.
That would be too hard, exactly.
You need to
Yeah.
remember to put it down every week.
Exactly. And which color it was. Dunno. Okay. In general though, would you say this boss good or bad? Like bit of like comme ci comme ça, or
It was okay.
I think it's
my
the
opinion.
worst boss we've talked about so far.
Yeah.
Really?
well,
This is
Skitra.
this is
Wor-
like
worse
the
than-
most
wor-
disappointing
Worse than
boss.
Skitra?
Well,
Would you-
Skitra I give a pass because it's second boss. This one is the end of the
Oh,
wing. I thought this should be
ah,
hard, and it wasn't.
true.
Like this, Skitra wasn't a disappointment. It was like, all right, whatever. This was a disappointment.
Okay.
Yeah. Sure.
But would you say it's more about the gear than the design of the boss? That's the problem. Or it's both?
I think the gear is the bigger problem, and the design is a smaller problem. It's still a problem because it's not a very interesting boss mechanically, but
Mm-hmm.
the gear is the bigger problem. It makes it super trivial.
I think tanking wise it's okay, to be honest. You have a bunch of mechanics you have to deal with.
Yeah.
There's
also,
more to it than just heal the raid and dispel the tanks. There's more to it than that, at least, because you have to one tank is picking up the ads, the other needs to make sure they have stuff ready for the despairs. And in the last phase, you're like running away together because you're not with the raid. You need to stick together, and then you need to position yourself for the what's it called decimation. Is that the thing on the
Yeah,
tank?
desolation. I think that's a
Decimation.
tank, yeah.
Decimation. Yeah.
Decimation. Like that's
yeah.
another thing you have to watch for. So there's more to it than for healers and DPS, I guess. Which
Mhm.
makes it's for me, I would say it's a fun fight at least. The only thing I don't like about it is that the dispel thing is like if the healers don't dispel you, your ass is like getting wrecked, and if they do dispel you properly, there's barely any damage. It's like day and night between dispels or no dispels, because the damage ramps up so fast on that beam when they do it.
Mm-hmm.
True.
So you
Yeah,
never like I'm never sure whenever they start casting beam. I'm never sure like do I need to pop a cooldown or am I gonna be fine? And I never know.
Yeah, that beam, that's also, let's say, kind of a new mechanic that you pick it up and you DPS the odds with it, right?
Nah, not really. We don't do that. To be
No,
honest.
no, but it's a new mechanic. Like, we haven't seen this
Oh, like that.
in a
the
while.
raid, you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were talking the difference between mythic and heroic. I'm like, nah, that's not the difference. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of thing. I mean, they did stuff like that in the past where you can use items that they drop
Yeah.
to help you out in the raid.
I think that's a cool thing. I mean, I wouldn't mind if they did more of this personally. It's just
And they force it on the tank as well by making it reset the tank stacks. So it's like
Mhm.
that's how you reset, get rid of your stacks. So the tank has to take it. It's not some DPS that's gonna take it to DPS or although they could probably do that if you want to now. Although I don't know if it counts on the logs, but they could maybe for rankings.
No idea if it counts.
I don't know
Yeah.
either actually. Yeah. All
Yeah,
I know is that
let's not find out because we're gonna want to be.
all I know is that
We're gonna want
it's pretty fun. If you hate someone in the raid, you can just zap him. I'm surprised we haven't seen a lot of that yet, personally.
That's because the tanks are taking it still.
Yeah, our tanks are too nice. Too nice. We need.
Oh, you can just take it, Roger.
I can take it. True.
Yeah, do it.
That's what I said, and you'll find out as well if it works in the rankings.
Who would you kill in game, of course, with this beam, if you
Only-
if you could?
The main problem is that most of the classes can't die.
Yeah.
So I would try to snap a healer, in my opinion.
Yeah. Because they're probably a bit AFK in phase 1, right?
Exactly. They're
But if-
AFK, they're like DPSing a bit, and then
If
Okay.
you snap the healers, we might wipe though. So that's a risk.
popular poofs, yeah.
Okay, but
You
overall,
only get to do it once.
overall, I think, are we giving it like a mediocre boss? Not like terrible, because the gear made it a bit worse than it should be, let's say. So I think as a standalone boss with like normal gear, like a guild progressing through it without spending 125 million gold on BOVs, it's a mediocre boss, like an interesting but not like super nice one. Would you agree with this?
Yeah, it shouldn't have an end of it shouldn't have been an end of wing boss kind of as G had said
Mhm.
before.
I guess
It's
so.
like the boss if you would take it out of the raid completely and yeah, I like it. It's nice. But yeah, as an end of wing boss, especially compared to the other two,
Mhm.
it doesn't really fit next to those three.
Okay. Any other thoughts, or are we moving on? I guess we can move on to the Hivemind. Any FPS in the chat, actually?
Oh, I was
So-
so happy I had a good PC on that boss.
So the Hivemind, first of all, I just want to start off by saying the trash is, I don't know what they were thinking with that trash before the boss.
Just stay Hui. Or
it's
just put in some more. It's not
I
enough
don't
yet.
know. I mean, they know that their game cannot handle them, but they just do it anyways. I'm not sure why. But yeah, let's talk about the boss. So, let's start off with Mares. Oh no, we started with Mares last time. Jeeth.
Yeah, yeah.
Jeeth. What did you think about the Hivemind? Do you I think you probably liked it, but let's see.
I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was super good or super bad. It's like a workman like boss, you know, pretty standard. DPS the right things. I thought it was kind of cool how this is like one of the very rare bosses where a healer can contribute something other than healing or damage, because you could hodge the psionic resonances or blinding light them to help out with kicks. So that was neat. But it's mostly, you know, dodge things and push buttons. So it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, nothing too exciting for sure. Well, what about the tanking on this boss? Splitting them up and bringing them together, is that like we've seen this
I mean,
in the
we've
last
seen
raid
you
event?
see
Like
it a lot
we just
years.
had it on Queen Azar, right? And they just do it
on
again.
council. Yeah, on council. No, wait. What fight did we have to bring them together there?
On
On council, we
Azara?
just had to
Phase
split
1.
them.
Phase 1 queen.
Phase 1.
Cyrus and
Right.
the part of the fight that didn't make sense to be there.
Yeah, I mean that's basically the exact same thing, I guess.
Yeah, they
Just-
seem to like this a lot.
And it's on a timer as well. It's not like it's like you need to watch for something. You just know like okay, in 10 seconds we move them together and that's it. They repeat. And there's no tank swaps either. There's the Ravager, which comes like twice in the fight only, and then you can pop off the stacks as well. So like you don't even have to tank swap. So yeah, it's pretty simple boss. It's not much to it really.
Yeah, I would say this is a pretty safe boss by them, right? Like nothing really innovative, just a bunch of ads and that's
Yeah.
it. Just a bit of a AoE fiesta.
Throw a lot of stuff at the raid and they'll enjoy it.
Speaking of AoE, Mares, any thoughts on this boss? Any?
Well, I think as a DPS, I think the boss is probably decent because you have a lot of stuff to damage, but it is still a boss in my opinion that's not like it is okay, but it's also kind of tempting for people to wipe on because they use the big AoE CDs on the smally ads, and then the datas come and they blast your raid, and that's pretty sad in my opinion.
Yeah, the debate, yeah.
The debate mechanics from Blizzard, but it's fine.
This is one of those bosses. They don't happen a lot, but sometimes they do. Where there's a little trap, I think, for raid leaders sometimes that they think adding a healer makes it safer, but it can actually make you less safe because losing the DPS makes the darters die slower and they do more damage to your raid than the extra healer heals. I think that happened with this boss, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely a lot of bosses. The best defense is offense. Could agree to this one if the DPSers actually switch to the darters. I guess that's the main concern. But we did see, yeah, a use of a lot of the CC by people, so that was, I think, cool on the darters specifically. Maybe the Baneling dance. What do you think of that as a mechanic? Did you like the dancing? Did you hate it?
Was an easy mechanic, was fine in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
it's a mechanic that you need to watch out for, but it's not super. Like it is actually punishing when you get hit, but it's hard to get hit. Put it that way.
The only way that you can get hit is if you're like, I'm watching the video, yeah, like Millie's right next to it, and if it's unlucky and it turns to you instantly, because that can happen, it can like just go. It can just go outwards instead of always go inwards. Like that's how it can fuck you, but otherwise it's
Or
not
if
that hard.
you mess up and like you're in the middle before it starts. Like
Ooh,
if you're in the
yes.
middle, it's actually very hard to dodge them all.
Everything crosses you.
Yes, that's true. I'm also a bit disappointed personally. I thought they're gonna, if they touch someone, they just explode. That's what I was expecting.
You can
right?
like soak them up, or
Yeah, sure, but I mean, they would give you a debuff and all of that. But it just looks weird how they just roll and they look like exploding things, right? Am I the only one?
like actual banelings. They hit the target, they
Well,
blow
yeah.
up.
I mean,
Yeah, but they weren't. They were also a debate.
yeah. Overall,
Yeah.
any other thoughts on this boss? What was
Not
that?
really.
Was the soften raids mechanic of the AoE increasing over the fight? Was that really anything of concern, Jith, in terms of healing?
I honestly don't think we even noticed it. We didn't play on cooldowns. We just used damage reductions for the big blow up for the ad that you are supposed to kill before it blows up, but instead you just let it blow up with a barrier or a spirit link. And I don't think we even noticed the ramp up damage. Just killed it.
That's when you know that it's good design, when you don't notice the difference from mythic to heroic, from heroic to mythic. Yeah, that was definitely a miss on that one.
Isn't there a ramp up in heroic as well, though? Or
is there?
I think so.
I have
Really?
no idea.
I thought it was the mythic mechanic. Maybe it's my fault. Like maybe I.
It just happens more often in mythic, I think. You have to swap back and forth more often, so it ramps up faster, I guess.
It does definitely feel like a boss though, where you don't really know what is gonna happen that much. You just look at your screen and react to things instead of planning it.
Like I'm thinking about, right? Like you could almost be like, yeah, what is actually the mythic mechanic here? And then it's like the only thing that's the mythic that you actually notice is the pools. See, like you get hit from below, under you, and then you need to dodge the pools that they leave behind.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's like the only mythic mechanic I think.
That's true.
That you notice. Everything else is the same, right? Or it just happens faster, and that's about it.
Okay. Any other thoughts on this boss? I would say we discussed it enough. I don't think there's too much to it. After it, it's a Raden, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The boy. Here we go. So Raden, the return of the what is he? A keeper? Something like that, right?
Yeah, he's a Titan keeper.
Titan keeper. There you go. So I think personally one of the best bosses of this raid. That's just in terms of the design, like the boss itself. So I'm gonna start off by saying I'm really happy with it. What are your thoughts on it? Just wait, as a tank, a bit of movement, a bit of dodging.
In Mythic, definitely it worked out quite nice because you're forced to move around and stuff, and you actually have to do more than just tank swap every one stack or something. and you have to pick up 2 ads instead of just one single ad every time. There's a lot more, like there's a lot of things happening, and that you have to do, so it keeps the first phase interesting. And in the last phase, the debuff just hurts so much that you're like always on your toes, hoping you're gonna live, kind of, you know. It's a nice boss for sure for tanking wise. Like you're not dealing with the raid mechanics that they get, like the Vita, the Nightmare, and all that other stuff, but there's always something else happening anyway, so you're busy.
Yeah, it's not just a boring like, oh, tank gets 3 stacks, tank swap. It's a bit more engaging, playing with your health and whatnot. Okay. Marez, what are your thoughts on it?
In my opinion, the best boss of the raid.
Mm-hmm.
For every player, in my opinion. Like every role had something else to do, and it was really unique that you had 3 different mechanics that you need to handle and to assign. That every player had like a different responsibility, and we were utilizing every class utility in terms of immunity, movement, and like what class is good in soaking what class is good in DPSing what adds. I think it was overall it was the best design by far.
What about you, Jit, in terms of healing? Was it as exciting as the rest of us? I mean, phase 2 specifically, I guess.
I mean, phase 2 is obviously really fun, but phase 1 is good too. I agree with Mirrors. I think it's the best designed boss in the raid. And there are some cool things that you can do, particularly as Holy Paladin, right? You get Corrupted Existence last phase, and you're worried about topping yourself. You just sack someone, and you don't. You want someone to die, you put a beacon on them, easy peasy. You know, I think it's a fun game.
If you lay on hands to any of the DPS,
yeah, any beacons.
If there's a druid in the raid using the Ashara stuff and executing some healers, that also works really well.
Yeah, I think it's a really good fight. Just wait for your question. I have never killed anyone with lay on hands in this raid. However, one paladin has killed someone with lay on hands on Raden.
No.
Is it Narco? Is it Chris? Or is it George?
Narco.
It could be all of them.
Not Narco executed himself.
Himself? Oh, then it's fine.
Himself, even.
That's fine.
Yeah, himself.
Whatever.
To be fair,
that's a Pepe laugh.
To be fair to him, he was trying to lay on hands before the Corrupted Existence came out, but it was 0.9 seconds after, and top of
the typical Narco.
That sounds like an
cackle for me.
Oh, he probably because when you get the debuff, you also lose like half your HP, so he panic pressed it probably. Yeah, that's unlucky. Yeah, really...
I think it's a really good boss overall. The big question I have, if this is the best boss of the raid, how do you make it take more than half of an afternoon? You know, because the best boss should last several days.
Yeah, I would have loved to play this boss longer.
Give everything more health.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Not sure actually. That's a good question.
I don't know, it was just design-wise, it was just a cool boss. I don't even know if it would have been cooler if it would have lasted longer.
I mean, it's also one of those things where we figured out basically the whole strat before we even got there. Unlike what's it called? Enzot or other end bosses where like we go in clueless, yeah. If we hit Raden without any PTR testing or knowledge about what these mechanics do, it would have taken probably another half day extra at least.
Yeah, also without the Vigorous and stuff, obviously.
Yeah, because you wouldn't have those, you know, and you wouldn't have anything, and you come to the boss and you're like, okay, what do we do now?
I agree.
That's one of the main things why these end bosses, you know, they last. Obviously, they're tuned really hard, so that takes long. But it's also coming up with the stats because we never seen them before.
Definitely, the kiting part of the orbs as well, I think, is a very underrated, exciting moment, right? Like you want to transition the boss, you're kiting around. It's just I don't know. I think they learned a lot from the first version of this boss as well in TOT, if anyone remembers that. But
yeah, we broke that one. Sorry.
Yeah, that boss was a little bit more exploitable. This one not so much.
Yeah, only a little bit.
Exploitable. I mean.
No, not exploitable.
We just thought like if we have instantly absorbed both orbs, he just goes back to that phase. So why not do it? And it worked.
Yeah, I would say I don't know if he's my favorite fight, but definitely one of the top ones in this raid. It felt good to play it, right? Like that's not the feeling you get a lot of times. You were pulling this boss. I mean, where are we pulling this boss? We're resetting the boss a few times and then pulling him, right?
Yeah, the resetting obviously made it worse to progress because that's
Yeah.
obviously really annoying. But yeah,
That they
At
fixed
least,
that. It's fine.
at least the respawn time was really fast, right?
Yeah, that was a lucky one. Okay. Anything else you want to add for this boss? I definitely a big thumbs up from me though. Like
and he
double
drops
thumbs up.
big loots still.
True, Vita trinket.
Like he's still a big loot boss, yeah. So
If you want the Vita buff, guys, you need to have it as well. Is all I'm gonna say. If you don't have the Vita trinket, you cannot be in the group with the other guys. Okay, so the last wing then is. Let's start with Shad'har. Wait, do you have to go Shad'har first and then
no, you can pick.
you can pick, right?
We do it the other way around now in farm because we jump down
Right.
and we do Drest'agath first. Because we
But
work
let's
our way
go
up.
with Shad'har because that's
the
why
way
we
we build
went. Yeah. So Shad'har, what can we say really about this boss? I think it's a pretty basic one. Let's just focus. Apart from it being a DPS check, kinda. Did you think it was a good DPS check boss? Because that's what it was designed for. I think it wasn't really designed to do all kinds of weird mechanics. It was just nuke, nuke, nuke. But I think the lack of a proper enrage or soft enrage on it made it kind of meh.
I think
That's how I
there
felt.
was a proper soft enrage, like the
Okay.
whole green pool growing outwards, and then
Yeah.
running out of room. It would have worked out if we didn't blast the boss so fast, you know.
Yeah, that's what
just-
I mean. Like the gear. My point was that the gear made this boss lose a
Yeah.
lot of its appeal because
For
of
sure,
that.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we say the gear, but I mean, I think they just should have tuned it harder initially.
Mhm. What
That's
about the
about it.
rest of the mechanics, like phase 1, phase 2, anything there, or just you
I
know?
don't know, as a tank, I didn't really notice anything, to be honest. It's just
Mhm.
the boss just deals damage to us, and that's about it, Ar. Then
Okay.
don't stun any pulls, and then the healers heal you.
And as a caster, it's just annoying when you need to dodge the puddles in the first phase.
Mm.
I don't know. I think the boss was okay. It was an okay damage boss.
It was for a patchwork fight. It's also right, yeah. I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, let me put it like this. I think this raid in general has a lot of nuke bosses, right? Like you have Wrathion is kind of like that. You have Maut, you have Skitra, you have this guy. Like there's a lot of bosses where you're just nuking boss, kinda, right? So I don't know if
I
it
mean,
was.
There is no ads on this fight, so yeah, you can boss.
Yeah. It just felt like they put a lot of them. So when you reach this boss, you're like, oh, I guess that's it. Just nuke again. What about healing? I mean, we did try to 3 heal it on farm. It was a little sketch. If you 4 heal it though, is it a good fight? What do you think, Jith?
I'm looking at 5 heal it even here, yeah. Just saying.
It's
True.
It's an
you're
okay
actually-
fight for healers for an elite for an earlier boss. The one thing is that I wish that the main effect that a healer has to pay attention to is the poison that lands on someone, and it lands for the first time at really high stacks and does very high damage,
Spit.
and then it splits into 2. Yeah, the spit, and then it bounces, and it gets more and more trivial, more bounces. I think that should have been like, instead of becoming more trivial as it bounced, it should have just not done that. Just every few seconds someone gets it and you have to pay a lot of attention to them and heal them, because once it splits, it became trivial, so you only paid attention to it every now and then, instead of if it had been more frequent of just very high damage on someone, then you would have been like, okay, we have to pay attention to triage. That's it. My biggest thing with this boss isn't even really about the boss. It's staggering to me. It blows my mind. I don't understand how they design bosses where some bosses you have to be nut to butt if you want to melee them, and other bosses you can legitimately stand 18 yards away and still melee them. On this boss, I don't know if any of you guys play melee, you can hit this boss from range, like literally from range, at least 18 yards away. And I don't understand why they have so much inconsistency. Is it a design decision? Do they want some bosses to be required to be tighter?
I mean,
doubt
he is fat.
Yeah,
but not that fat.
maybe on this one they were like, well, what if there's a 30-man raid and they need to you know, in phase 1, you do these little circles around you, right? So they're like, let's just
Yeah, but the
increase
same
it
thing.
plus 10 yards. Yeah, go on.
Then they should have done that with Raden with the purple circles that spawn and then spread out around melee, because you have to run 30 yards away to dodge those sometimes.
Nah, but that's mythic
You
only.
know. True.
But that's a valid point, of course. There are bosses in the past, for sure, where the hitbox is very inconsistent to what you would expect, or it's either too small and you really hate that it's too small. I'm thinking off the top of my head from the dungeons from Wakecrest Manor, right? The big fatty over there that spawns some ads and
You mean
slimes and all that.
Ra?
Yeah.
I think
I
Ra the
think
boy.
I think him, for example, why doesn't he have a bigger hitbox? It's a bit annoying, right?
I think to come back to Jade's point about this boss
Yeah.
actually, I think the main reason why the hitbox is this big, and it's good that it's this big, is the feeding mechanic. Yeah, if as a melee you have to pick up the food and you have to feed him, and the hitbox is small that you would trigger if you would go into melee range, that wouldn't be nice. But now you can actually melee hit him without feeding him.
Yeah, what
So it
did you
kinda-
think
it
about the
kinda-
feeding
it kinda
mechanic?
helps. It
As-
kind of helps the melee for that.
Did you think the feeding mechanic was a good one overall, including this hitbox thing, or was it like, could it have not existed and it wouldn't really have changed anything?
I think they didn't have to put the slow in there, which makes you just require 2 freedoms in the raid.
Hmm.
I don't know why they did that. It's like, okay, sure. Now if you're a class that can freedom yourself, you're good. Or again, you need some outside help. I mean, I guess it's mythic. You know, they want to have some certain things in the raid. But I think the feeding mechanic on it by itself, just needing to feed him, is already like control enough that you need to get
Yeah.
over the fight.
I don't think the feeding mechanic's very good. I like mechanics that add things for everyone to pay attention to, and instead the feeding mechanic is basically a trap. It's a pass fail test of, do you have someone in your raid paying attention? One person. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you can also overfeed, and then the damage is a lot more than you would.
Yeah, but
otherwise.
again, you
can min-max it.
This is it's a raid lead pass fail, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have someone saying you're going to feed, you're not going to feed, you're going to feed, you're not going to feed, or do you not?
Yeah.
That doesn't make it an interesting fight for the raiders.
What happened here, by the way, with ice? Whew.
Wait, what? He
I
just
don't know.
flies over it.
Fraggy just
flies into
flies
it.
over. I've never seen this.
He was like, "Fuck it, I'm soaking it on the raid. I don't care." I guess.
Well, I think people still, I'm not saying maybe our guild, but people are still confused with how this. I see some people kite it from an isolated place where it could blow up on its own in a big circle and end up actually closer to the raid, because they feel like they need to run further instead of just get it away from the raid. I think because there are sometimes mechanics where the further you kite it, the less damage it does, right? And I think some people think that's what it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. I've noticed that as well. Overall, though, would you say this boss is like a whatever boss, or did you like it? Do you still like doing it during farm?
It could be out of the raid, and you wouldn't know this because it doesn't drop any good loot either.
What does it even
Sadly.
drop?
I don't know exactly. Like a ring for every.
I always see this Versa Mastery ring. Yeah, that's literally it.
It's a Versa Master ring.
Versa Mastery ring boss.
That's the
There you go.
downside of having so many bosses and so little loot, I guess. So
Some
some
bosses
just drop
have
like one
huge
item.
amounts of good loot, and the others have nothing, though.
Yeah,
Like in this
Raden
boss,
has-
Raden has several good things, and then other bosses have a ring.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, going to the next boss who only
Going-
drops garbage loot.
Going to the next boss. Speaking of garbage loot, except for shamans apparently, Drest'agath, the one and only, the most innovative, in my opinion, boss of the raid. Now, did it work or not? Let's hear from you, Just Raid. What did you think about this boss? Because it's mainly the tank thing that is exciting here.
How did we kill the boss? Oh wait, that's Max's line.
Oh yeah, true.
Nah, I mean, it was alright, I guess. It was just sad that we were there second and not first, kind of. So we weren't really making our own strats, just trying to copy stuff. But the whole tanking mechanic of the debuffing things, it kind of plays out as you just DPSing. Like, you know, like you get the debuffs are usually around the same time, so you know, okay, with this debuff, I'm about to go here, and you just set a path for the DPS to clear, really.
Was it exciting for you to make those decisions, or was it a bit
No.
Uh,
As I said,
no.
like we were just trying to copy a bit, you know, like there was not
Mm.
really any decision making at all. So
But okay, I mean, let's just say that for a guild that just comes here and like as a mechanic, like I'm trying to get a sense. Do you think the boss was designed properly? Would we want to see more bosses like this? Because this is quite different than
I
most
like the whole
bosses.
mechanic of okay, you need to get a debuff and then you can you can actually damage the boss. I like this as a mechanic. I don't think we've seen that before, have we? I'm thinking like I don't think I can recall any of that where it was just healing up unless you have something like that.
No, I think it was new.
This is a new one, yeah, for sure.
So that makes it more interesting than just kill tentacle, boss loses this health, you know, like if you kill a tentacle you actually still need to DPS the boss and pick up those debuffs or they get lost. So I think I like that.
Okay.
But tanking wise, I know it was kind of boring to be honest. Cause yeah, you're just running around with debuff and that's about it. You're not really doing anything special.
Yeah. I guess if you already have decided where you go with the debuffs as well, it takes away a bit the element of deciding that, I guess. So then it's
no
like
decisions
okay.
needed. You just know, okay, debuff, I run.
Like you can already foretell the next 30 seconds of the fight what you're gonna do exactly, and that's kind of okay. What
same,
about
like,
yeah?
I was gonna say like raid leaders in other guilds are probably just gonna call out and mark tentacles that they want debuff, and that's it. Like the tanks are just gonna follow whatever they say, and that's it. Doesn't really make it interesting or something. And the tank damage is like not really. There's not really much going on. Just sometimes when the raid is like dropping and they're healing other people, that's the only times that the tank might drop a little bit.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's not much happening to be honest.
Yeah, I've never seen a tank death on this boss, I think.
What?
No,
That's not true.
Not true.
Not
I swapped
true?
to double beacon for this boss because of tank deaths.
Oh really?
Yeah,
This
because
is the first
like,
boss in like
we run
3
around.
tiers that I use 2 beacons.
We run around a bunch, yeah. So sometimes the raid is like split up a bit as well. So I'm guessing there's like we run away from the healers and stuff like that. Or we're in the cloud and they're not in the cloud.
Yeah. So
Stuff
it's more like
that
it's
can
more.
probably get quite annoying.
It's not so much the damage that you take; it's more the line of
Yeah,
sight.
it's attrition because they're out of range or out of line of sight for ages sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Maris? Any like from DPS? I guess this is the most exciting part of switching to the ads and stuff. Did you like this idea? Would you want to see more of that?
The idea was cool, but the only thing that was kind of frustrating, in my opinion, was the line of sight mechanic.
Yeah.
Like the line of sight mechanic and the puddle inside, and then as a caster, because I was playing Boomkin on this boss, that the tentacle was doing a slam every like 2 seconds, and you had to move every 2 seconds inside a puddle where you couldn't even get healed, was definitely not a fun mechanic. But apart from that, it was a decent boss for DPS for sure.
That's true. When you step into the line of sight, in the smoke bomb, you know you're not getting any heals anymore. Like that's it.
Like, you don't get any heals, and then you're like, maybe I want to finish my cast in the how's it called? In like the slam from the tentacle, and then you pop the person, you're still dying, then you step out, then you still don't get heals because the healers went back into the cloud. It's like it's a really bad boss, yeah.
From a healer perspective, like there's parts that cerebrally should be cool, right? Because for example, this is like kind of an esoteric example, but Beacon doesn't heal through line of sight, Glimmer does. So you can do some like pretend high IQ things like glimmering people who you won't be in line of sight of and then swapping your beacon to people who you are as you move in and out. But in reality, it's just a fucking awful boss that you run around with your head like a chicken with your head cut off because you're like, oh shit, okay, now they're inside, so I'm gonna go in, but they stepped out because they wanted to heal. So you dodge back out to try to heal them, but now they've gone back in because they've seen you and now someone else out. And then especially as a melee healer, because okay, now this tentacle is dead, now I'm just gonna AFK while I run 20 yards to the next one. It's awful. It's horrible.
How is he talking like this when he's like sitting completely still?
Yeah.
How's he doing it?
It's the Giga posture, yeah. It's the Ultra Instinct. That's it.
Yeah.
He's reached it. The divinity.
Is it the posture divinity?
Yes.
But yeah, I can
so
imagine that's
apart from
annoying.
the smoke bomb thing, apart from that, do you think if that, because I think the reason they put that was probably because otherwise melee would just be too bad for this boss compared to any other class. It's there to nerf the ranged basically, and especially multi-daughters. Do you think if that was not in though, like let's say, screw the melee. Like get them all out of here. You know,
Yeah, of
just
course.
just remove them all.
But it
How
would be perfect.
would the boss be like enjoyable? Because I think so personally. I think the boss would be really cool if you just didn't have this line of sight stuff.
No, but
I
then
mean,
without the line of sight stuff, then the trash would die, or like the tentacles would die way faster, and then they would need to implement a mechanic that when every tentacle is dead, 5 seconds after, regardless of the timer, you will get a new spawn.
Hmm.
Because
that'll fuck up things as well, because then you're just gonna delay
I-
killing some of them.
I,
as well.
I know, but I don't know how to fix the problem. But you know what I mean? Yeah, if everything would be free, everything would die to multi-dotters, and it would stand AFK waiting like 25 seconds on the next wave. What also would make the boss way less enjoyable.
I mean, there's other things they could do with the big ones, like right. So they have like a shield, and you can only damage them when they're debuffed, stuff like that.
Oh, I agree. That would be
There's
cool.
other
Yeah.
ways to make the fight be like kind of like extended without putting a cloud in there, so people actually have to move on it.
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Or
agree with that.
or the debuff removes the line of sight, for example, while it's up. You know.
I definitely also, like, apart from the clouds, how did you feel like? How can I say this? It feels like a boss where you can have a plan, especially early on, but I felt that as a DPSer at least. At some point, I was just reacting to what's happening on my screen. I wasn't really thinking like, oh yeah, then we kill this and this, then we're gonna debuff this. I was just like, okay, what's up? Like, okay, I'm killing this. Oh, can I DPS boss? Getting the debuff then. Let's go. Did you get that feeling of kind of YOLOing it and just looking at what's happening instead of having proper a plan in your head ahead of time?
I had that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything
I don't
felt
know.
different every pull. That's one thing that was the most annoying thing about this fight, to be honest. It didn't feel like these tentacles are always spawning at the same time. It didn't feel like we're getting the tank debuff always at the same time. It didn't feel like the boss is doing his damage always at the same time. You know, like everything was a bit off every single time we did it.
Yeah,
It's like
random timings.
the whole planning thing just goes out the window at that point. Like you can, that's why we only assign the first ones, and after that it's just like, you know, like you just pick up whenever you can and
Yeah, use on CD.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
use
it.
your CDs on CD, guys. That's a great. You can quote that.
Yeah, that's a DPS tip in my
That's a
opinion for the whole
DPS
raid. Yeah, use DPS CDs on CD and you will be good.
Yep.
Exactly.
But that's,
Okay.
I think that's just the how the boss worked, because nothing was like set in stone as much as other fights.
I must say though, I agree with one thing that Mary
Meaning
said.
outside.
That it does feel weird. I mean, this is more a farm problem than a progress problem. It does feel a bit weird, champ, when there's no buff to get from the ground and there's no ads,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
you have this
Mhm.
weak aura that tells you you're an idiot because you're hitting the boss, but there's nothing else to do anyways,
Hey,
right?
Blizzard didn't give you the weak eye, yeah?
Yeah.
They're not calling you idiots.
But you do feel regardless like an idiot because you're like, what am I doing right now? I'm hitting a boss that is just healing all my damage. Like, what's the point of this? So
Yep.
yeah, that's I don't know if they could have done much for that personally. This is more just outgearing the content, I guess you could say, right?
Yes.
Any other thoughts
I
on
mean-
this boss? Yeah, go on.
Do we even get to the point where there's nothing to kill right now on farm? I don't think we have that, huh? In
Sometimes.
heroic we
No,
do,
no.
sure, but I don't think in mythic we have reached that point yet.
No, not yet, not yet.
Maybe, yeah. Definitely seen it on heroic a lot, yeah.
Yeah, on
Yep.
heroic it's perma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think we can move on to the next boss, the big boy Il'gynoth. Now we're starting the big three, basically, right? Like we're starting on the big three. Oh, for Drest'agath, would you just give it a thumbs up overall, like, or maybe good idea, but mediocre implementation, maybe? What, like, just as an overall feel?
I would give it a thumbs up, to be honest.
Thumbs up.
At the end of the day, it's like, because it's so kind of different from all the other bosses. Yeah, I mean, it's like the most disliked boss in the dungeon, but it's unique at least. It's a bit different from everything else.
Yeah.
I would be okay with it if they would, like, you know, try to do something like this again, but improve upon it. That's it.
Like
Yeah.
Raden.
Yeah, like Raden. Like if we see, no, I mean, it wouldn't be called Drest'agath, I think, because I don't think we're going back to Ny'alotha again. But
What
yeah.
do you mean? The legendary Drest'agath is back from the dead. Well, of course.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he just burrows his way to the Shadowlands and then it randomly appears.
You know, the lore behind this boss is immense, of course. Like,
Yeah, Roger knows all
about it, all about it. Okay, moving on then to Il'gynoth. And I think this boss, I think it's mainly just Jith should speak about it, because as a DPSer, I think it's...
You raid let it, Roger. You can talk about it as well.
I can talk about it as well,
True.
but I mean, okay,
as a
I can
DPS
start. Hold on, let me start and say how amazing it felt to progress on this boss, guys. Not having to play a character definitely helps, because you can actually have a good overview. Now, but in all seriousness, I think the boss was probably from the three hard bosses, it had the most potential, in my opinion. Apart from this cheese mechanic thing that ended up becoming the norm strat nowadays. But the idea behind the boss, definitely a thumbs up from me. I think they did a good design of a boss. Just a bit unfortunate how it played out. Now, do you need a weak auras? Do you need weak auras to play this boss? I think so. That maybe that's the one criticism I would have for this fight. That if I mean you don't need, but it definitely makes your life a lot easier having some kind of weak auras. I wouldn't say what is the best one, but if we didn't have it, I'm pretty sure it would have been a massive disadvantage. But
on that note, they probably should have just given the debuffs timers or something, and then no weak auras would have been needed, and it would have been a lot more clear. It would have been easier as well, of course. But I feel like that's at least the safe play from Blizzard's perspective, to not make us forced into like weak auras and other mechanics and tricks that we can use to dispel these things. Because they know we're gonna make something for it. Like that's we're always gonna find something, even if we have to manually press a button, which our initial plan was. Like we would have done something for it, yeah.
Exactly, that's my point. Do you think, Jith, because you were the guy dispelling, do you think if there was no weak aura, you could have done it just by looking at your screen and just dispelling the guys?
Yes.
Yes.
I think we could have done it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. And because of the unavoidable problems with the weak aura, like the false positives when you got hit by someone else's circle when you also had a circle, I think it might have been better if we had just committed to us using our eyes. I'm maybe that's really arrogant for me to say. Maybe you guys strongly disagree, and I won't argue with you if that's true. But I honestly think we might have killed it faster without a weak aura at all.
I mean, I don't know, because we didn't try it ever. So who knows?
Well, we tried it for.
When the weak aura didn't work.
The weak aura just didn't work, and we spent 30 minutes or 40 minutes just doing it, and we made it just as far as we were with the weak aura. I don't know. I feel like it would have been the play. I think it would have been good. But it's really easy to see why you would want a weak aura. And if it hadn't had false positives, then the weak aura is obviously superior. But with the addition of the false positives, it felt terrible to never know if the weak aura was right or not, except if Roger was like telling you. Which once you switch to Roger holding your hand, then of course the weak aura makes a ton of sense. And then I turn my brain off, and Roger's telling me who to dispel and when to dispel and whether to do it. It's like, so okay, so this is easy now. But that's Roger using his brain and being the weak aura, not like if Roger's in the raid and we don't have someone doing that, then I think using your eyes was the second best strat.
I think using the eyes would have been the third best, and I would have also preferred playing the progress without the dispel weak aura. I think we should have used the weak aura where we press the button manually.
The lighting up, yeah.
Yeah, it would have made a lot easier, and if people would have just pressed the button and wiped us, then it's obviously...
you would have figured it out very, very fast.
Exactly. Yeah, like I think that would have been the best option.
Just so everyone, because I don't think the chat knows what we're talking about. The idea was that each individual, when they were about to become the smallest, their own circle becoming the smallest it can be, then they would press a macro that would light up their frame on everyone's raid frames, so they would get dispelled if they did it correctly, hopefully. So that was the alternative.
Yeah.
But like instead we used
two issues with that. Go ahead, please.
What we used instead was something that automatically send that information out, but it was a bit buggy because if you got hit by someone else's circle, it would mess up the weak aura basically. So automation, but with a little bit of false positives, or manual, but then you have the false positives of the human error part, I guess. A bit of a
don't
debate.
think the human error would have been the problem. I think the two things that caused us to not use a macro to light up your frame things are first, everyone's run out of keybinds this expansion. No one wants to find a keybind.
True, that's a big true.
I had
What
a
do you-
really good keybind.
What do you expect in the next expansion when we get more spells back and extra spells from the thing as well,
True,
man?
true.
Whoa.
I
And
swear,
then-
yeah. Like what you
And
do
then-
is you start off your expansion. You're like, oh, you figured out all your keybinds, and then they add essences, they add
Cloak up, cloak
cloak.
use.
You have like these macros that pop up randomly. I swear, yeah. And then you're
And
like,
then-
is control a good keybind for this? Not sure. Yeah.
Then the second problem with the macro was just, and this probably isn't a problem, and it probably could have been overcome. But when we were using it for the first 6 pulls, it turned into like an entitlement, right? Someone pushed it, and then 8 other people did, and we dispelled 4 people. And then if
Yeah.
you didn't get the dispel after pushing it, every single one that did it, and no flame to you guys, but literally everyone that pushed their button but didn't get a dispel
They're
was
like,
like, I pushed my button but I didn't get one.
Yeah,
Where's my,
yeah.
where's my dispel?
Where's my
And that
dispel?
was so
True.
I remember it, and then people were pressing, man, you can still dispel me, and yeah, it doesn't matter, the CD is still there.
Like next time.
The immunities also play a big role in that normal strategy, right? Like not the one everyone does now, but the actual strategy people should have used on this boss. Immunities, again, pretty overpowered, I would say.
Yeah, well, especially the ones where you can like have it almost every time, or not all. Yeah, like what AMS,
Yeah, like DK. Yeah.
and that's about it, though, I guess.
Yeah, it was only
Yeah.
DK.
Finally, a DK fight where they can immune something important.
Yeah.
Definitely felt a bit like Argus, right? Where you just hope that the immunities get picked.
I think that this is probably not true, but I want to float it as an idea. I think that the immunities idea was a trick and a trap and actually hurt us, because the immunities that you added were like, DKs for the most part, right? And adding more melee hurts you more than getting rid of 1 or 2 extra debuffs every few minutes.
I mean,
in
the
my
melees
opinion,
that
because
you
melees
that
suck.
you're adding is DKs though, and they
Yeah.
help with that control. They're not.
What I'm saying is like getting one less, like the math of it worked out. You get 1 less debuff every 2 minutes by adding a DK, but you get garbage in melee more often because you have a DK. Like I think dropping the immunity idea and just getting melee out was better than trying to get more immunes and having more melee.
Mm-hmm.
Because you lose 1 debuff every now and then, but you get shit on the ground in melee.
Okay.
Yeah, that was also. That
Yeah,
was also
I
the
mean
argument.
that's a fair point.
There's also an argument we had for the tanking, like, like we were discussing, like Sko should go DK because of immunity and stuff like that. And then I ended up
didn't
saying
think that
that,
was worth it at
and
all.
I ended up saying like, no, he should just be monk for the physical damage increase, just more damage. Like I don't care about that 1 immunity. Just go monk. That's it. Because
Yeah,
we didn't have any misreavers or something, so.
I think if you landed a lot of immunities, it definitely felt nice having them. But having this RNG element to it, I can agree that perhaps it wasn't that needed. Maybe towards the end, specifically, like having one wave where you have a big amount of immunities, like ice blocks and whatnot, and try
that was
to.
impactful.
Yeah. Sorry.
The one at the end where you like that was impactful, Roger. You're right about that. The one at the end where everyone uses like long immunities, bubbles and ice blocks, and you get buffs instead of the punch. That was good.
Yeah, but like skipping 1 or 2 randomly every wave, perhaps. I do agree. It's probably not that big of a deal. Okay. Overall, though, would you say this boss? Did you enjoy progressing on it? Do you think that they should do more bosses like this? Let's say. We didn't really talk about the ads per se, like the Bloods of Ny'alotha.
I mean, they're like heroic kind of. You don't really notice them. You're just killing them.
Yeah.
And same with the mythic ad that they added. It's just you just tank it next to the boss, you cleave it down, and avoid the charge. It's just something that's gonna kill you, but it's not something you play around.
Definitely feels like the main mechanic is the circles of the fight, and everything else is like supplementary.
Yep.
They even made the mind controls only target 2 people for some reason. Compared to heroic, you get more. So they wanted to downplay that effect and just focus on the circles.
How many do you get in heroic?
I mean, depends, I guess, on how many people are in.
Yeah, depends on your rate.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
wondering with 20 people.
I have no idea.
I don't know, honestly.
Okay.
More than 2, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
A pretty cool thing, though, as well, I must say, is when towards the end, even at 2%, like here, you can even see Scribe touch a little bit the Evoke on the ground, drop to like 10% HP, yeah? Like, you can still wipe the whole raid in a blink of an eye.
Yep.
I think that's a good thing. It makes for an exciting kill. That's the one thing. When bosses are super tight towards the end, that's a very big thing for me.
But
to
then again,
enjoy the kill.
we do decide for that, right? Like we could just be like, okay, we just spell until the boss is dead, and then you don't have those moments.
Yeah,
It's just that at some point we're like, okay, let's not dispel anymore. Just stand and blast the boss. That's
I'm
like
pretty sure
but
most
it's-
people though do that, right? Like they like stop.
Well,
I mean,
of course, the whole strat these days for most people
The
is not
whole
even dispelling
strat
at all.
it's
so.
just yeah, bit of a sad situation. I'm waiting to see if they're gonna nerf those circles and then not allow people to do that strat. I think it's a shame that people are cheesing this fight, because it is a cheese, one way or another. So a bit of a sad end for this boss. But definitely a thumbs up for me. What about you guys? Thumbs up on this one? Like good
Yeah.
effort?
Yeah,
For me,
thumbs up.
sure.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to the last 2.
Oh
Here we
no.
go. We have the Carapace.
The coolest thing about that
Oh
fight
no,
was
now I'm hungry.
calling it Carapace.
Yeah.
The boy.
But we even had an intro. That's
Yeah,
insane.
yeah. Intro. Where is it? Ooh.
Where is it? Checks overall, yeah. It's
Yeah. Method versus Carapace. What a great intro, guys. Amazing. Okay, so let's start with you, Maris. What did you think about this boss? I guess the one thing is, did you expect more out of it, and it ended up being a bit, or were
Yes.
you satisfied with it? Like, what about like
No.
each phase separately?
Oh, no.
Let's try to break it down
Okay.
each phase.
Yeah. That sounds good. Okay, so to break it down, I think first phase was decent. It was a little bit short in my opinion because the boss lost percentage HP. But the idea was cool that you had 4 tentacles and you to split up the raid in 4 groups, and I think that was actually pretty decent on the boss. It was also I felt like it looked cool from that point on. But then later on, I think the second phase was as useless as it is in heroic. You're just gonna go, you're gonna blast some ads, and that's it. So it was not really that challenging in my opinion. Also not cool to play. And the last phase I think was really cool design-wise, but the main problem was that the scaling was just not there on the boss, and we just killed it in not even soft enrage basically. Like we had so much room left and sanity to play. I don't know. It was just sad.
Yeah, boss kind of just flopped in the last phase. That is true.
Yeah. That's the sad part.
I mean, I'm pretty sure we would have wiped a bit more if we didn't copy the strats, right?
I
Which we
agree.
did. So that's one thing. What about you, Jith? What did you think about this boss in terms of healing? Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, separately.
I think phase 1 is by far the best and worst phase as a healer. The best part is that phase 1 is the only one that has actual triage healing. Someone gets targeted by a tentacle, they need some attention. Especially if they also have mental decay, you have to actually kind of pay attention to who you heal. But the perennial healer complaint that Blizzard still hasn't implemented a way to see on your raid frames whether someone's out of line of sight, which feels like they could just do that. It's awful to see someone in your range and not know if my holy shock is going to go off or be like, nope. And you inevitably lose fractions of globals to that, no matter how quickly you react. and it's horrible and feels terrible. So that whenever that happens, whenever there's a line of sight mechanic that you can't tell, that is awful. But at the same time, it's the only phase of the fight where you actually had to pay attention to triage healing and making sure that people got attention when they needed it. Whereas in like the next couple of phases, like the last phase, it's just blast everyone. Everyone takes the bomb damage and that's it.
I mean, in this fight, the line of sight, at least after a couple of pulls, you should learn which players will be out of line of sight anyways, right? Because it's always the same, at least. It's not it's not like, oh, this random player is suddenly out of line of sight, like on the Drest'agath.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
and you can organize your groups around it if you want and stuff like that, but it's still annoying. It as a triage based healer, right? Holy Shock heals for half your health. I see someone that could benefit from Holy Shock, I want to push it and I can't, you know.
Just so everyone is just so everyone understands, by the way, because you're using it a lot. I'm not sure if everyone follows. What is a triage healer?
I consider a triage healer someone who, if someone's in danger of dying in the next global, you can prevent that frequently, easily, and often, which is what Holy Paladin does. Every few seconds you push Holy Shock, that's going to prevent someone from dying in the next global. Okay. That's a pretty big contrast to like a druid. If someone's going to die in the next global, congrats, you got rejuve, you're still going to die the next global.
Yeah, druids suck. We can all agree to that. This patch, I mean, rest of druids in Ny'alotha, not the greatest. Or am I wrong in that?
No, you're correct.
Okay, there we go.
They're probably the worst spec in Ny'alotha.
Oof.
Oh.
Oof. And survival is a spec. There you go. Yeah. Okay. What about phase 2, phase 3 then? I mean,
they're more straightforward from healing. I like phase 2 because it was kind of hectic, you know. I thought it was a cool phase. Probably the one where I most felt the difference from heroic, to be honest, because the fact that you got those red circles of damage and disorient, and people could like make a tiny mistake and hit them at the wrong time and wipe you, that felt kind of neat. Phase 3 was a massive disappointment, and like it's also, I'm biased, right? It's hard to not have my opinion on this boss colored by the fact that we like woke up to having been killed in an incredibly short amount of time after this is like the penultimate boss. Everyone thought it could be a huge wall, and it just got steamrolled by Limit. Like I came into it already like sad, and that colors my opinion of the boss already.
For sure. Definitely died a bit too early. I can agree to that. What about you, Just Wait? Did you think in terms of tanking, was it exciting? Was it easy compared to what you expecting?
I was expecting this boss to wreck hard on Mythic, to be honest. Yeah, because Heroic was already like quite hard on tanking. Like we ended up 3 tanking Heroic in the split runs because of the tank damage. But then in Heroic, in Mythic here, like it was the first phase that was like hurting the tank so much, and then in the first phase you barely get any damage at all because we're just blasting the tentacles and stuff, the big ones. What are they called? Mandible slams or whatever. We're just killing them so fast, so you barely get any smallies that would hurt the tanks anyways. So yeah, it was kind of a disappointment in terms of tank damage in that way, in that sense. It didn't hurt as much as I was hoping for. But besides that, it's just it's a fun boss to be running around all over the place in phase 1, doing your tasks that you have to do. Second phase just boring, just like everyone else. Just run, hit your things, and then pick up orb and continue. And the last phase is I don't know. It's kind of the same like the DPS pretty much. Just blast the boss before he dies. Really, it's the first phase that's the most fun at least.
Okay. This is one where what you said about tanking on Drest'agath actually like with what Justin was saying seems really true. Like I can't remember a single tank death ever on this fight.
Yeah,
and this is one where they
should have happened.
It should have been like really hard hitting, pummeling.
Yeah, he looks like a bad
for them, and instead you ignore them.
As I said, in heroic, he was actually he was actually hurting and killing us and stuff like that. But then in Mythic, you're there, and it just you don't even feel it. Right now in farm, we go like 4 or 5 stacks. It's like whatever. Yeah, we don't care. It's just it doesn't even.
Feels like a guy who should have clapped you, but doesn't really.
Look
do
at
much.
him. He has the 2 big claws and then clapping you, and I don't know.
I think the one feeling which I got a lot of personally in this fight was that once you were running, like let me find the exact time. Like it felt to me like the fight started when you were going through the corridor to enter phase 3. That's when it actually started, like the the hard part, the cool part. Up until that point, I mean, yeah, phase 1, you guys gave it a lot of praise, but
I mean, it's fun.
it just
That's
it
the
just
only thing,
felt a
right?
bit
Like,
too
it's not,
easy,
it's not
maybe.
difficult, but it's fun.
Yeah. Like, if you're a
So,
guild
like,
that has killed Il'gynoth, phase 1 should be pretty much a joke for you, right? And then you get here, and phase 3 is exciting. Phase 3, I think, is one of the best phases in terms of mechanics, visuals, positioning, all of that. Like, it's pretty cool. Maybe, yeah, maybe a bit more on the tank. Tanks should be a bit more dyings, I guess you can say. But overall, this is an exciting phase for sure. You
I
need
mean,
some
it's also, I
planning.
think, the
Yeah.
first fight in this whole dungeon where it feels like you're like dancing with the whole raid more than anything, which is what usually makes the good fights, where you're like choreographed everything that you're doing. And it feels like the first fight in this raid where you're actually doing that. Everything else just felt like a bit YOLO and random at times.
Yes, and not just this boss. I would say other bosses in the past as well. I feel like a lot of bosses didn't have as much planning involved, or very basic ones like Vexiona, like bait here, okay, bait on center, on middle, entrance, pineapple, whatever. Um, Pretty basic stuff. But here it's actually a lot. It feels more tight, more like mythic raiding.
Yeah.
Then you go to a boss like Hivemind. It's just, yeah, guys, spread, okay, group up. That's it.
Blast that.
Yeah. So yeah, so phase 3 overall, would you say is any complaints about phase 3, like, or was it like a really good one for you guys as well?
It was a good one, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could have just lasted longer, but apart from that, it was a good fight.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yep.
But on the
That's
kill,
it.
as you can see in the video right now as well, Narco took your spot, so it was fine. We had to sacrifice a paladin on that fight.
Yeah. Narco took one for the team. This phase definitely, though, feels way too long on the first kill compared to how it is now. Jesus. Like,
Yeah, this is one of those bosses where
like just look at this screen right here. The boss is at 4%. People are getting mind controlled. The red, I mean, wait for the thing to be on your screens, I guess. But the red circles, the tentacles slapping, everyone's exploding with the fear around them. Like, this is it. This is an end boss last phase.
Yeah,
This is
where
how it
it
should
gets,
feel, right?
where it gets spicy, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure like almost everyone died, and they're like, rest someone. And I rest Scribe, and he didn't even accept because he was looking at something.
Yeah, that was the worst. Yeah, when Scribe doesn't even look at his screen, you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, there he is. He's raising Scribe. Yeah, you can actually see it here. Doesn't accept it. Oh, he got it now. I think he did one global. Alright, excellent.
Oh no, actually, I think he said afterwards he was waiting for something. Although I don't remember what it was though.
I don't know.
Right, the typical Scribe, I wait for some.
Yeah, I didn't fail. I
Like
didn't fail.
no,
I was
he
just securing the kill.
He wanted to wait for the last second that someone got MC'd. So it would be,
so
he
he
would last longer.
maximizes. Okay.
I think that's what he said to me.
So you can
Okay.
keep the ignite high in ice block, huh?
Right,
Uh-huh,
extend
uh-huh.
that ignite. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's
Okay.
that's why he was waiting. But then he decided not to do it, I guess.
Any other thoughts on that, or are we going straight into the last one? I would say probably this Carapace, at least the last phase, is up there with Raden and Il'gynoth. That's
Yeah,
my
for
3
sure.
fights. Yeah.
Yeah, the fight was good.
I think
was
if the first phase would have been harder and maybe a little bit longer, it would have been a. I mean, how long was the fight now? You already close.
I can tell you.
How long was the fight? Because I feel like it could have been
like 9 minutes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if it was like a 12-minute fight with phase 1 being
Yeah.
like 2-3 minutes longer. And then you get to chill out in the intermission a bit while you're just blasting your ads, and then you're just ready to go in the last phase. I think that could have made it even better. Besides that, it was
Yeah, a bit of a missed opportunity for sure. That's the feeling I got. Phase 3 was good, but Yeah, I don't know. They could have done more with it. And it could have been like an avatar-like boss, where you have a lot of wipes on it, pretty much same as the last boss. Yeah. Do everyone agrees to that? Any other
Yeah.
thoughts? Are we moving on to
I think we're moving on to
To
the
the-
I'm
last
already,
one.
I'm
the
already
last
watching the
boss.
intro on the stream. So
yeah, a
Yeah,
bit of a
same.
long intro actually, 2 minutes. Okay. So here we are, guys, and boss of this expansion, the last of the
Oh no.
old gods. One of the
no,
most
no,
OP
there's the last,
cards in
god,
Hearthstone.
the last old god known to us.
Right.
Because there are more. We just
Well, in,
haven't-
if in Shadowlands I don't see old gods, I don't know anymore. Like,
Hmm. Okay, so I think let's just not even attempt to discuss it all at one go. Let's just go phase by phase and just go afterwards like that. So phase one. How did you guys feel about the outside? How did you guys feel about the inside? Because I think that's two completely different experiences. Let's start with you, Jith. What do you think? How was healing outside?
Healing outside was fine, I guess. It's not particularly interesting healing. You just blast everyone, unless people are missing kicks left, right, and center, and then you run out of dispels, and then the person takes a lot of damage from the corrupted mind. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward and not particularly fun. Really, really annoying being a melee healer on this, and like every ad being killed in the first 3 seconds, and then you need to hit something. So you're just like AFK on the boss, but I don't know.
Would you say a shaman would have been a better healer choice on this one?
If we had had a well-geared shaman, sure, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
And what about the inside?
I did the first inside, and I've never seen the second inside. The first inside has very, very little damage unless people farm anguish hits. So it's pretty straightforward.
You were
just
solo
dodge
healing
fire.
it, right? Yeah, you can
Yeah, I
see
solo
here.
healed it. And
What
like,
an insane player. There we go.
which isn't an achievement because no one takes damage if they play right.
Of course not. In our guild, no one gets hit by anything. Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. But did you feel like phase one overall was a good phase? Like, are you? Like, what is your overall impression of it?
Kind of thumbs down it. I think it was pretty boring. Okay, no. The part of phase one that's the only part of phase one that I thought was good was when the other team is down and everyone gets sucked off and has to deal with the neurons or synapses or whatever they're called, and the psychophages. Like, that's complex and requires coordination, and it's kind of fun, but also like frustrating sometimes if you get farmed a little bit. But that made the phase good. Everything else about the phase was bad, but that was good.
I see. Kus says what inside, by the way. Feels bad for the warlocks guys that had to stay outside.
That reminds me, by the way.
Fabo came inside with us.
Yeah, Fabo was inside.
True.
The pet class bug on this fight drives me up the wall. That's
true.
awful.
You want some paranoia while you're inside, huh?
Yeah, it was great when I was bugging and I was in both phases, and then you just die randomly.
Nothing you can do.
That was a lovely way to die, for sure. What do you guys think? Just wait. Was the tanking anything? I feel like the tanking outside was kind of but the inside is kind of cool, right? Or
no, the tanking outside it's fun, but there's only one moment where it's fun, and that's after the mind grasp, where you get like 20 fucking smallies running after you, and you need to tank a big tentacle, and you need to stay in melee range. And that's like, that's 15 seconds of fun, and then besides that, it's just kind of boring again, kind of.
Okay.
But the inside is it's alright. Once you figure out the pathing that you're doing, again, it's like the smallies that make it interesting to be honest. Without if you didn't have the smallies like heroic, it would just really be boring. But I also feel like the smallies, it's like, I don't know. Do DPS even care about those? Like, I feel like that's a mechanic that's only really. It's like something that only affects the tanks, really. No one
Yeah,
else.
and you can
For everyone
press
else, it's just
multi-shot, yeah.
yeah. It's just a DPS increase for everyone else. That's it.
I
It's
do
like a
like
tank
to
thing only.
multi-shot those ads, yes.
Yeah, the multi-shot on those ads is definitely juicy, but I agree. Those ads are, I think they're a strange mechanic either way, talking about the boss. I think the idea was cool that they spawn, like, or that you basically were interacting with each other in the phases while killing stuff. You were spawning stuff for the other phase. But these ads were like super useless. Yeah, they were annoying for people because they were getting like you randomly procced a infinite stars on one, and then it was chasing you forever because the tank obviously didn't take aggro from it when you were in China. And I don't know. I think the ads were really a bad way to solve it. I think there could have been a better way to implement ads that spawn outside, maybe. Like actually tanking, like tankable ads, maybe only like 2 or 3 and not like 20.
Or maybe some ads, like less ads, but they fixate or something. So I don't know. So you
Yeah,
have to do
like
something for them.
just a more interactive mechanic for the raid. But apart from that, I think I don't know, the first like outside, I think felt super bad to play because you were hitting trash, yeah, in my opinion. The inside phase, you were actually having a boss, so we were moving around, you were interrupting, like we were interacting with it a lot. But on the outside, you were just standing there blasting trash, and I don't know. And it was not even hard to kill it. Yeah, you were only getting annoyed on the bad spawns. How well when the tentacle was in China and the other one was in Taipei, basically, and you were only running around there trying to kill stuff. I don't know. It was not really fun.
It definitely didn't feel as epic doing the outside in phase 1.
Exactly.
Didn't feel like the last boss of this expansion. I can agree to that.
Sure.
Okay, so let's move on to the phase 2 though, because this is like that's when again I feel like the fight really starts. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So the ads was like me personally, I think that the only really big thing that annoyed me was that they didn't realize how big immunities would be in this fight. It didn't really affect us progress-wise as much, but I think like since we're talking about how were this boss designed and all that, it still baffles me how they don't think to make these things unimmutable. Let's say, yeah. It just creates this situation where certain classes just trivialize the biggest mechanic of this phase, kinda.
I mean, if you think about it, they must have thought about the immuning though, because imagine soaking everything with the whole raid. Like no one would have any sanity left. Like what are you gonna do?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, like, they must have like been like, okay, you know, like they're gonna immune some of them, so they'll be fine.
Yeah, maybe they thought, oh, they're gonna immune one set and they will be fine. Like they need to immune like one set to actually play the boss properly or whatever. But then they don't realize that when the players see, oh, you can immune one set, let's just immune like all. It's like,
why stop there? Yeah, true.
Yeah, exactly.
I think 5 minutes for 10. It's like, you know, like, oh, maybe 10 is a bit too much for them, so maybe they won't do it. But we don't care.
Yeah, it's like it's really hard to decide.
If needed, we'll just have the whole raid with immunities. They should know that by now.
Yeah, I know. I think the ads were like they were cool or like a good idea. I personally just feel like
put it in the picture. No, we're good.
Reloading.
Is it working?
Oh, there we are.
Oh shit!
Okay,
they can hear you though. They can hear you. Just let you guys know.
Hello, Twitch chat.
Hello, Twitch chat. I will leave you guys to it. Enjoy.
Okay, thank you.
Stream Elements is now live. Perfect.
Okay.
Fuck. Oh fuck! I was almost deceased from my winter grasp.
Let me see. Are my scenes? Yeah, my scenes are. Oh, in sec.
Quick break, boys.
There we go.
Nice break.
Okay.
Let's pull again.
We got hungry, so we took a break.
And we're back, boys. Woo! Let's go.
Wait, it was even on the break timer, Roger.
Exactly.
That's insane.
Now I wonder what the last thing was that we talked about before we get cut off.
It was the ads and this. Oh, true. When did we?
What's the last thing we talked about, chat? Does anyone know?
Oh, whoops. That's the wrong one. 1 sec. We'll get to that in a sec afterwards.
Oh no, leaking the content.
It's the form, dude. It's the form.
Oh, Roger, man.
It's okay.
No spoilers.
One sec, let me attack. I think we were talking about N'Zoth Phase 2. I mean, we can just go from there. I mean, the ads. I think that's where we left it off, right?
Oh, right. Murph was saying how they were big and stuff. Or
Yeah, how they were big and how bad. And then you were asking Just Wait what he thought about the ads. And then I think we FF'd. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. It's working.
oh,
It's working.
yeah, that's it. That's it. Georgie was asking me what I thought about the big ads in terms of tanking. I think.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which-
like, did it feel like because N'Zoth, as what I was saying was, it is an old god,
Oh.
right? So
Yeah, and they don't
usually
get
they
tanked.
don't melee people, but
Mhm.
in this case, I think it just felt like there's nothing going on. Yeah, like a little
But
bit
that's the same.
just sitting around.
That's the exact same thing on the other ones, though. If you think
Yeah,
about it.
but
If
I
you
don't
go back to
know.
Yogg-Saron in the last phase, even the first, what the fuck? Like, what are you tanking in Yogg-Saron, the first phase? You're tanking those ads that come out of the clouds, and that's it.
Mhm.
There's nothing else to tank.
Yeah, but does that make the fight good or bad? I think
then
it
the
makes it
second-
bad. Yeah.
And the second, yeah, sure, but it's just like it's just an old god team, yeah. Like it's Blizzard. They will team their bosses around the lore. In the end of the day, they're trying to sell a story. And while doing that, they're trying to make the boss fun as best they can. I mean, they can't make this guy. It's an inflated balloon. They can't make him swing his head around and try to hit the thing. I mean, that would just be silly.
It would be. It would be.
So that's. I mean, he's attacking us with
I don't know
lasers
what they
and
could
trying to
do.
manipulate our mind. The best
Just-
thing is that like in the first phase where you have like a big Psychus ad, you know, like something like that. They could have done something more tank threatening instead of just two smally, well, half semi-smally ads that just get killed and then new ones spawn. They could have had like one big one or something like that.
It just felt a bit like I didn't feel like this overwhelming thing of the last boss where it's like, oh my god, what's happening? Like on Carapace last phase, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Here instead it's like, oh, these ads, just nuke boss and min-max the cleaving on the ads. That's kind of what it felt like. Instead of
Do you think that
fighting for your lives.
like do you think little tentacles that don't need to be tanked should spawn all over the place and you have to like control and kill them and they slowly overwhelm you?
That
'Cause
sounds.
it seems weird to have an old god with tentacles for only one phase.
Well, then you're gonna like multi-dot them, and then it becomes a joke as well, yeah. Because multi-dot would just be king then to keep up with them. I mean, for balancing wise, that's not nice. And at the end of the day as well, there's a lot of things to it. At least they let you focus on what you actually have to do now, yeah. Min-max those pulls, dodge your lasers, deal with paranoia. It's not like they make, you know, they don't let you do 20 things at the same time. It's always comes one by one.
Someone in chat said, "Add big tentacle slams from Carapace." Ho ho.
That would, I mean, that would have, that could
would
have
be
been a
cool.
thing.
That would
It's
be
not-
cool,
would be
yeah.
cool.
I think
It doesn't
so as
really
well.
change. It doesn't really change anything in terms of the tanking though, which is
Well,
Yeah.
hopefully
kind of what we were looking for as well.
not during Evoke Anguish, please, yeah. But
Quick line.
okay, one thing I must say is that in this fight, the thing I really liked was the transitions, like this visual right here that I'm showing on stream.
when we fly in, or
When you fly in and fly back out,
they made. I mean, they worked hard on the special animation.
looked cool, yeah.
This is
Tell-
mythic only, so.
tell me what you want. Tell me the cinematic in the end was a bit. This was cool.
Where's the skip button though? After seeing it once, I'm done. Yeah.
No, I liked it every time. I always look at it. Okay.
Yeah,
You
I
guys,
can't avoid it.
I have a curious question for you guys. Did you guys have like a / target this guy and were you spamming buttons as you came down? Because I usually notice that as we come through the animation, you can still cast. Like I have Light of Dawn on cooldown when I land, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys do that?
Can you spam your buttons during the animation?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can push buttons while you're flying.
Well, I did have that. Personally, yeah.
No one told me this. I
did it for
we
N'Zoth
thought about
as
the
well.
auto walk thing. But
For
not that you can
N'Zoth as
cast
well,
as you come down.
Yeah. that's a min-maxing to the
I
max.
was just
yeah.
curious. I
Yeah,
mean, this
yeah.
phase didn't require that kind of min-max. It was weirdly.
Yeah. So this
uneventful.
mythic only phase, from 1 to 10, what would you score it?
0?
0.
0.
I mean, mechanically, with having to click the
2
thing
or 3.
and stuff like that,
Maybe it gets a 1 from me actually. Yeah,
It's
because
alright.
It felt like, you know what it felt like? That they made this phase just for us. Because what better way to help Method get a kill than to have a break for 2 minutes in the middle of the fight?
It's true.
Wait,
just-
it lasts 2 minutes, this space? What the hell?
I think like a minute 40 or something.
No, it was like a minute 40, I think. Or
Like-
no, it was a minute 30 because I popped CDs in the beginning and they were ready when we came out.
Hmm. It did
So-
feel like a mini break from the
Yeah.
fight, yeah.
Pretty much.
Like,
Like, as a DPS, if you don't even have to click the things, the only thing you do is dodge dark
Well,
matter,
e-
and that's it, or?
Even
Or
if you
or maybe
click
you
the
get a debuff.
things, no, even if you click the things, you waddle there. You have like unlimited time basically. You waddle there, and then you right click once,
yeah.
and then you attack again. Yeah, it's not. I don't know. It felt so bad.
Yeah, like for me, if you think about that phase as its own fight and make it longer, it's like a first boss fight, which makes it a horrible phase for the last boss.
Hmm. Yeah. That's I can completely agree with that. I don't know what they were really thinking personally.
I would 100% have preferred it that at 0% you go in here instead of midway,
Oh.
and then
Right,
and then it would have been like a garage where like it's like a completely another phase where you actually have to kill it, and it's actually hard compared to a small intermission.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
What
I would
should have
have preferred
happened?
that.
What should have happened is that as you get N'Zoth to close to 0, he like goes crazy and he corrupts Magni and Mother at the same time, and you have to fight both of them at the same time in the chamber to
That's
purify
what-
them. So
yeah.
that they can blast them at the end.
Iliayo theory.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
That's
The Iliayo.
That's what people thought, yeah. Like, let's kill Mother, let's go. But no, you just kill an ad. That
No,
looks
but in-
exactly
an
like
ad-
the other ones.
Yeah.
I think the biggest problem I had with this mythic phase is that it had nothing to do with the fight.
Oh, it
like-
did. I mean, it had to do with the
No, but
killing of N'Zoth. It had to do, but the fight down there, yeah, not
No, he's
really.
right. It had nothing to do with
Exactly.
the fight. It had to do with the cinematic.
yeah, exactly. Like there was a cinematic going there, but it was nothing that impacted the downstairs phase,
Mhm.
and it didn't change anything in the room. It was like nothing. There
Well, I
would've been-
mean, it impacts how many necks you need in there, right? Like if you, that's the thing with
Yeah, okay,
without using immunities. If you didn't immune, you would have to use more necks, which makes that phase more complicated, I guess.
Mm.
But we have so many immunities that it's just irrelevant. We just click.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Do,
We don't care.
do you think they could have done something where the cinematic is a bit different in Mythic than in Heroic?
Well, you mean the end, like when you kill the boss, or
Yes.
what do you mean?
When you
They
kill the
can-
boss,
They can, but it costs money, so why would they?
like,
Is
isn't
that-
that such a big disappointment? It feels like to me like that it's limiting their developer style, or then the cinematic makes no sense, like on Archimond, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you fight him in the Twisting Nether, you kill him, and then
He
oh,
pops up on top.
yeah,
Yeah. He's
we're
like,
back
he's
in the real
yeah.
world, guys. Oh, Gul'dan and all that. It makes no sense.
I agree. I agree.
But you got the cool phase, like Archimond last phase, Mythic only, really cool phase. And now they just do this thing where you go in the chamber, so it doesn't really affect the cinematic in the end. I think they could spend a little bit of money to make a slightly, like, I'm not saying a completely different cinematic. I'm saying like alter it a little bit. It would get a
Mhm.
lot of hype as well, in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need to take it. Yeah, that I think the main problem was that they said in the interview as well was that they wanted to put focus on the character in the cinematic.
Yeah, so
So
it was just an
Mm.
in-game.
Exactly. So it
in-game
was an
thing.
in-game event basically that happened when you killed the boss. But it was like, yeah,
You basically
I
get to
don't
be
even know,
Thrall. Like Thrall
Yeah.
kill Deathwing, you kill N'Zoth.
yeah, like you beam
Except,
with your
except it's like it doesn't really feel as powerful as it should be.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's a little bit. I don't know. I personally didn't feel like oh, it's me that's killing him. Oh, that's insane. I just felt, well, this makes no sense because there's 20
Yeah.
people right now doing the exact same thing as I am.
Escape, skip.
Like, I would have liked it instead if it was all 20 of us.
Or
And
as
then-
a raid team, you mean?
And then as a raid
jumping-
team, like, laser that
you
guy
are,
down.
You are in here as a raid. Like, there's sure someone will solo it in 2 expansions from now or something. But I mean, right now, you know, it's the group of
If
heroes that's doing it.
Yeah, if they made the cinematic incorporate everyone and not just
I mean, you do see people walking in the background, I think, but they're not blasting the boss. They're not all
Yeah.
blasting the boss together. It's like
It
one
just
guy,
feels like, oh, out of everyone, you are the special one. That's what they're going for.
Wait, you guys didn't all see Roger blasting it in your cinematics?
I saw Roger. I saw
Hey.
Roger blasting it as well, actually.
Are you still using the beam, or Roger, to blast
Yeah.
that? That's basically what happened to him. He got asteroid beamed.
Yeah,
but-
you're using the iris.
But I feel like apart from that, I was just really disappointed in the fight that we didn't have in that sense, like a really cool mythic only phase that involved the boss changing.
Mhm.
I was expecting that, in my opinion.
True.
Like we had what was the last expansion? We had Archimond, the boss changed. We had Gul'dan was not the last boss, right?
Argus.
It was Argus, true.
Argus.
Argus changed, Gul'dan even changed. Savers we don't Savers we don't talk about. But it was also what other end we had but Cho'Gath was not what was the end boss of that expansion?
Sinestra or what?
No, that was Archimond. We have Archimond, Argus.
True, and on his off.
And on his off.
Okay, yeah, awful. Yeah. So
Yeah, how
I-
would you?
I-
Yeah.
no, you go.
How would you
Before that-
score this, like, overall, like, as an experience, like N'Zoth, compared to other end bosses? Is this the worst end boss of an expansion you've ever seen, or which one
Yes.
is worse?
In my opinion, it is definitely the worst.
It's
Mhm.
simple, yes. I mean,
It's
you
the
can,
worst.
you can go back. You can all go all the way back, right?
You
Kel'Thuzad.
think Deathwing was better, basically? Because I think that's
Yes.
what it comes down to.
Yes.
I didn't play Deathwing, but if you guys say yes,
I mean,
the
the whole Deathwing tier is kind of.
We couldn't play it for 8 days, but
We
then we
could, like,
did.
but it's kind of messed because I have to, like, 90% of the top guilds got banned. So, but the boss fight itself, it was okay, yeah. I
Mm.
mean, at least, but in terms of mythic, there wasn't mythic yet either. It was just heroic.
Yeah, I mean, there was
it's like-
Spine of Deathwing, which was a bit spicy.
Yeah, with the dragon, the mages, and the legendaries.
But I think, I don't know. I'm very disappointed with N'Zoth
whenever-
specifically. Yeah.
Whenever they started doing the whole mythic only stuff, that's like, this is the worst one since, for sure.
Hmm. Like, even when what's his name, Imperator,
Margot.
which was
when
just
it
Oh,
was
yeah,
Emperor
Margot. Like, he
Heimdall,
was
the
he
first
was the
tier.
first tier of a raid of an
Yeah, he was-
expansion,
Wait,
and
what
has
was
like
the
this
equivalent?
cool new mythic only phase out of nowhere. And yeah, here we get to dodge some stuff falling from the sky. It just
Yeah.
felt like, what is this? It felt like a scenario almost. But yeah. Okay, so I guess that anything else to add on the Zoth specifically? Any any funny part apart from the El Presidento that was coming in?
No, I don't know. Yeah,
Not
on that boss,
really.
I just felt depressed. Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt depressed because I was not really fighting a boss. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's just me.
Anyone else who kicked the chair in the end, or was it just me?
That was just-
I think it was just you.
Okay. Okay. So that there you go. Let me do a quick transition. Hopefully it doesn't break. Whoo,
Oh,
there we
no.
go.
Are we big screen again? Or?
Yes, big screen. No more
Oh no,
YouTube.
Oh,
the big
no.
screen.
Oh,
Oh,
The
no.
big screen.
Oh.
Jith, don't move too much, please. And
Oh, no.
okay, so guys, here's the chance we're running short on time. The technical difficulties earlier were not great. So
And we kept talking so long.
yes, a lot of bosses in this guys. If you have any questions for me, for the guest, for anyone, it can be Nya'lotha related, or it can be just any question. Keep it civil, of course. Post in the chat. Gonna be here for another like 10-15 minutes max, so we'll see if we can get a few questions in.
Don't say max.
Oof.
Ooh.
Our limit is 10 to 15 minutes.
Yes. But so now that you've seen the bosses again and we've went through them one by one, did you change at all your opinion of the raid? Do you think you had it in your head a bit worse than it was, or like did it alter a bit your opinion on it? Let's start with Just Wait. Or
Nah,
no?
the raid is like it's still an okay raid, but
Okay.
yeah, it doesn't change how I experienced it in the end of the day.
Okay. But because a lot of bosses, I think we gave it a lot of thumbs up, and I was thinking
Yeah,
maybe
it has good bosses. It's just how the progression went for me.
Mhm.
That's like that's how I see it here from my perspective.
right. Okay. What about you, Meres? Do you think you had forgotten how awesome the bosses were, or did you?
No, I don't think so. I still have basically the same opinion that I think the raid is technically cool, but that just Nuzov destroyed a lot. And that we were, like, obviously that we were playing behind was not ideal for progress feeling.
Mhm.
But just looking at the bosses, I think they were still good, yeah. Apart from the last, yeah. Well, that was the big I think the main problem was for me, I was hoping a lot, or I was like looking forward to Nuzov a lot. And then you came to the boss and it was a real big disappointment. And then you were like kind of down for the rest of the fight or progress.
Okay. Would you say it's what? And moving on to Jith, but I want to add the question to this: which was the best raid of this expansion, in your opinion?
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think my favorite raid was probably Battle for Xanesh Lore.
Ooh.
Um,
Okay.
I think, yeah.
That's
It had a lot of good bosses and a good end boss.
Okay.
Whereas this one had a
Okay.
lot of good bosses that raised my expectations, and then a horribly, crushingly terrible last two bosses.
It spoiled the whole thing. Okay. Right. So VOD for you. Interesting. I've heard some not so great things about that raid personally, but if we're talking about just the design of the bosses, I guess, and how enjoyable it was to
I think
go
that
back and kill them. Yep.
the last boss because you do the last boss for something like 75 or 80% of the time you spend in the entire raid, it has a huge impact. And Jaina was a really good fight. I don't think anyone disagrees with that.
Well, Michael didn't kill it apparently much. Yep.
No, but if I can just jump on Jeeves' question, or basically, I think Jaina was also the best end boss of this expansion.
No, I think
But
Unat was the best one.
Which one?
I do consider Unat one of the end bosses.
Yeah, Unat was not bad, but I didn't really play that much, so I don't really have that strong of an opinion. I was playing all, yeah. I was playing tank, I was playing shadow, I was on the bench, it was like it was kind of mediocre, yeah. But apart, I think Jaina was the most enjoyable for me to play, and I think design-wise, obviously the boss was a failure from how Blizzard intended us to kill it, but how we killed it in the end, I think was cool. But raid-wise, I think the most fun from the overall, like all the bosses, I had an Uldir for me.
Uldir, okay.
Yeah, because I enjoyed. Yeah, you go, Jeff.
No, I just took a bite. You go.
Okay. No, but I think Uldir was like I enjoyed all the bosses in Uldir, apart from obviously, like, okay, the first two were like introduction bosses, but the other bosses I enjoyed.
All right. So Uldir for you, BOD for Jeeth. Let me guess, it's Eternal Palace for Just Wait. Or?
I mean, I'm actually looking at Eternal Palace, and there is some nice bosses in there, yeah.
Yeah.
It is high up there. I just don't know if I would have to rate it like which is my top one. It's not Nya'lotha. It's not Uldir. it's either BOD or Eternal Palace, but I'm not sure which one is like comes out on top.
All right.
Because both of them had good moments, and both end bosses are okay. Like I liked Ashara, I like Jaina.
Yeah, Ashara was fine as well. I agree. Even though the first phase was really depressing, but yeah.
Yeah, in terms of end bosses, definitely feel like Azara was better than.
Ashara should have been. I mean, could have been an end boss of an expansion, and it would have been
Yes,
suitable
exactly.
to me.
It felt like a proper epic boss. Okay, a little
Mhm.
bit annoying with the line of sight, but would have been a more suitable candidate compared to N'Zoth for sure. In
Yeah.
terms of the mechanics. Okay.
So for me, it's a toss up between Eternal Palace and what's the other one? What did I say? BOD. Yeah.
BOD. Okay. Interesting. No one picking this last raid, unfortunately. Nya'lotha, guys, as a
Nope.
whole, gets a bit of a thumbs down, I guess. I think mainly because of the last boss, though. If the last boss was truly epic, I think.
Then it would have been the best raid.
Yeah,
in
you
my
guys
opinion.
would have
But
had a different
Yeah, I
opinion.
agree.
Yeah. Now let's move on to a couple of questions before we wrap this thing up. What do you want to see in the raids and PvE related content in Shadowlands? I think we're going to touch this subject next week, guys, mainly. But just overall, like, who anyone wants to jump on this question? It's a pretty broad question, but any specific thing that pops in your head, what would you want to see in raids next expansion? I'm not sure if.
Master Looker.
like if I can start for non-raid content, I really hope for shorter dungeons.
Shorter
Shorter
dungeons. Okay.
Is 15 minutes not enough? What are you complaining
No,
about,
no,
dude?
no,
How
He
fast do you
wants
wanna clear them?
he wants his Maut souls back. That's it.
I want my more souls back. No, but
What?
I wish for really good like competitive design dungeons, because I think like dungeons is the biggest content for most people in WoW. So
Okay.
I hope for really good dungeon design.
Okay. What about you, Jeeth? Anything you want to see in the next raids or PvE content in general?
I think the most important thing for me would be fun classes. You know, I think raids are historically pretty good, but they need to add depth back to healer specs. I won't speak for DPS. Maybe you guys love your specs right now, but I would like classes to be made fun and complex again.
Just get some corruption and you're fine, bro.
Yeah, I love pushing Twilight Devastation. It's the best button in my.
Just press.
I always press it. I press it together with Ignite on CB.
Okay. Raid BFA raids. I think we kind of did this one, Rivanos. Because hold on, I think this is a lore thing. Because Nya'lotha is supposedly where the old gods live. What's to stop the heroes from flying around there and eliminating the other old gods that are still alive? Cthulhu and Yogg. Any lores? Any
I'm
lore
pretty
people
sure.
here?
I'm pretty sure Ny'alotha is not the realm where the old gods live. It's just where Sot was.
Yeah, I never understood what exactly Nya'lotha is, honestly.
No idea. Yeah, no.
It was just a dream, a really bad dream.
It was just a dream. It was just a game. What?
It's just an Sot thing. I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I definitely agree though that they didn't really do a great job making you understand where you're going. Like, what is this? Yeah.
You just take a portal and you're there.
Right. It's just a simulation, as Flex is pointing out.
We all live in the Matrix, right?
It's a big simulation.
Which raid was the best to play as a hunter? Someone says. I'll change that question to, do you think this raid specifically? Because the way I see it, I heard a lot of melees cry about VOD being too melee unfriendly. Then I think Eternal Palace was too melee friendly. Melees were quite nice to be a melee in that raid. How do you think this time was around? I mean, hunters were, I think, by far the best in Nya'lotha compared to any other tier. Maybe even any expansion. So there you go. But what do you guys think about the melee situation?
I think the problem with melees is more like we wanted immunities, and the only melees that really have immunities are like rogues and paladins, I guess. DKs and you have one demon hunter in always anyway. And then DKs and warriors, like they're just there if they can, but if you need immunities, they're just out. That's it.
That's true.
I know.
Okay.
I just feel like the immunities thing is kind of scuffing some of the melee classes, like Enhancement, Windwalker, things like that. That if they would have an
DK.
immunity, maybe they would get
Yeah.
CUs, but they don't have it, so you're never gonna get them anyways. Like we're not even considering them because they just don't have the utility and the immunities.
I just can't wait for immunities to no longer cheese raid mechanics. Immunities should be a button you push to not die. It shouldn't
Yeah.
be the way that you avoid
Just make you immune
chains
to a
on
damage. But
targets and this on this fight, and like every single fight immunes do something to cheese the fight, and it's annoying and it needs to stop. It fucks up class balance, it fucks up slotting, it fucks up wanting to use your button to save your life. It's bad.
A paladin who wants his bubble to get nerfed. There you go, guys. If that doesn't convince you, then I don't know what. Yeah.
I mean, he is a healer, so he's pretty safe anyways.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a fair point, though. It's always been a thing. And then some immunities work. My turtle sometimes doesn't work on some things. Oh, I guess bench the hunter then on Il'gynoth. Doesn't work.
Yeah,
Like,
but then it does work on the Hellia tentacles. So
At
now
least it
you-
just makes you, at least if immunities don't work altogether, at least you know, like you just have to deal with the mechanics that they give you. Right now,
I'm
it's
trying to think.
you know.
There
you
are
can
so
skip them.
many end boss fights where immunities just make the difference. Like, wasn't the Hellia tentacle supposed to be group soaked and you just immuned it instead? And then Argus,
true.
you just immune the chains instead, and like it's everywhere. And you just like take it for granted that that's how you do it instead. But it could have been so much cooler if you didn't. Like Hellia would have been a better fight if people took damage from the tentacles instead of just immuning them.
Like, that's the thing. Like, do you design a boss assuming that the raid will have a few immunities and they will have to use them here? Or do you just design a boss where there's no such thing and
Yeah, but
everyone has
as
to
G
play
said, you can still make immunities be about like survival, but not about removing mechanics.
Yeah, but there on Hellia, for example, it was just survival.
Yeah, sure, but I mean, there used to be like stuff like on the health caps, right?
That
On
wasn't
cheat
just
deaths.
survival.
Like they
On
did
Hellia?
stuff with cheat deaths. Like
On
it cannot
Hellia?
be you cannot be hit higher than your max health times 2 or something. Stuff like that. Like that's gone from immunities. I'm not sure if they ever had it on there. But if your bubble gets hit for like 3 million, which is 5 times your HP, you should just die because the bubble should just break.
Yeah,
something, you
like
know?
cheated.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Like, why
No,
would you be able
it
to
was like that on Hellia, right? Like it was the tentacle, it just did a smash and you just had someone to soak the damage. Because if no one soaked it, yeah.
But instead, well, I think the design of the mechanic was that it split the damage among the people hit. So you could have, there were two ways of handling it. The intended way, where like half the raid soaks the tentacle and then you heal it because they all took a quarter of their health, or you just have a hunter turtle under it. And one of those breaks the mechanics, and I think it's bad for the game, and the other one is fine.
I mean, on Hellia there were more things to break, not just those tentacles.
Take my breath away.
Oh, what about the? Here's a question from James. What about the buffs? Do we want to see them play a role in the next expansion, like Mark of the Wild?
Oh, bro, get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
I think they are fine, except they shouldn't be unique. If like the demon hunter and monk thing are like the prime examples, right? Like I feel like these, like some other class should be able to give them, where you can be able to use an item and apply it or something, or you got like 10-minute buff, and your attacks now apply it, even if it's like 1% less. I think it's okay to have these things, myself at least.
Yeah.
I just don't know what they add, to be honest. People always say bring back my Mark of the Wild, but it's just a button you push at the beginning and it's over.
Yeah, but it's RPG value, right? Like it's like some group utility. If like it's gonna make group compositions at least consider, is getting this 1% extra stat versus using a scroll worth it? Like using battle shout scroll versus using a warrior shout. You know, do you want the warrior in for the extra AP, or are we okay without? I think that those decisions are okay to have. But in the terms, that's what I'm saying, in terms of Demon Hunter and Monk, there's no decision to be made.
Yeah, I would rather them focus on making classes fun rather than things that don't change how you play anything and like make minuscule differences in raid comp, which I don't think are as fun of a decision to make as like how to play your classes. Given the choice between, you know, giving druids a spell that they're going to push and make their rotation fun versus giving the Mark of the Wild, I will always say fuck Mark of the Wild. I don't care.
No, of course, but they can do both, right? Like the whole Mark of the Wild thing is
yeah,
like,
that was good.
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
in a world where there's no buffs, you can literally just have a raid with 17 mages if they are the best DPS class. Because they don't need anyone else.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember
sign me up.
Unat was close to that actually. Yeah.
Yeah, one mage for the Arcane Intellect. Otherwise, why do you have a mage?
I do think the one thing they did introduce was what's it called, the Vita trinkets and like stuff that is group wide. Do you think that's something they could do more of in the future, or no thanks?
In terms of raids, compositions?
No, like just in general, do you want to see these things
I
brought
think
back?
they should be raid wide.
Everything
If they do it,
raid-wise?
just
Just-
make it proc and then be on a random raid player, not on
yeah,
a group guy. So you don't
exactly.
care about, yeah.
You don't like the
Like, this
cliques
group
forming in the
stuff-
raid, like
Bro,
No.
the group stuff is really bad.
5 people with a Vita trinket and then whoever is not in unlock chuck. Yeah, they did try it though, which indicates to me that they might want to do more of that, but we'll
Mhm.
see.
I mean, it's okay if they do it one-off, like now there's one trinket in one tier
Mhm.
plus an essence, and that's it, right? Like it's not a big deal. But if you have something the whole expansion, it's gonna end up being like fucking Sunwell again, where you need to put like the hunter with the warriors, or the hunter with the mana guys for the mana, or the shadow priest,
Oh yeah, the good times of steady shot spam. That one macro.
Yeah,
really
and
big tilt,
imagine Bloodlust only for one group. I mean,
I,
stuff like that. You don't want to
yeah.
have too much of
Yeah.
it.
We
It's
already
okay
had
one-off
DC.
or something, but not too much.
Bloodlust, I think maybe should be looked at as well. Yeah, I feel like it's been the same thing for way too long. Maybe they can play a bit with it. Maybe make it a bit less impactful and maybe add more things like it. Like they did with the banners back in the day, with warrior banners, Stormlast
Mhm.
totems. Maybe they can do more of those, but make Bloodlust less impactful. I don't know, because right now there's one thing. That's it, Bloodlust.
Yeah, but if you think about
And
it, if we had more things,
I don't know.
we're all gonna stack it on Bloodlust anyways, right?
Yeah, I'm not
That's like how it
I'm not
works.
sure how they can change things. I haven't put a thought to it a lot, but it just feels like Bloodlust has been untouched throughout the years. They just gave it to a few more classes, and that's it. It's probably the one thing that hasn't changed since, I don't know, when was it? TBC or Wrath when they made it raid wide.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
sure when. Long time ago, at least.
You could make it so that they didn't. You could make it so that each one applied an exhaustion effect for its own duration. So you'd have like, Bloodlust into a banner, into some other kind of roar that did something, or
True,
a Shadow
true.
type effect. Then each one has a 30-second debuff of exhaustion.
Yeah.
Then you might use one on the pull, and then another one, 2 minutes in. That might be more fun.
There might be some cool stuff they could play around within Shadowlands, I agree. But I don't know. It's always hard to decide because it will it will always impact us as well if you have like this unique stuff on classes. And then we need to consider bringing it. But I think that's fine.
I think that's fine because it basically adds to the puzzle of the whole, how
Yeah,
we're
it
gonna
makes
how
sense,
are we
yeah.
gonna win this tier. That makes it more interesting at least.
Exactly.
True. I mean,
As long as Jeet said, yeah, as long as the class is also fun to play,
Yeah,
that's fine.
that's the main
That's
thing.
true.
Yeah.
Actually, I enjoy some classes right now, but some are just really not fun to play on. That's the main problem.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, one thing that I need to throw
Yeah.
in, what
Go
I
on.
really wish for Shadowlands, that I don't have GCDs on my CDs anymore. Like,
That's one big dream.
I'm still really tilted every time I need to press GCDs on every single cooldown or even defensive cooldown I use. It's really bad.
Yeah, I'm sure they will look into those things. I am expecting a few changes on that. I mean, we will see hopefully soon with the alpha starting.
Right now, I'm pressing Storm Fire into Touch of Death, into Blood of the Enemy, into Fist of Fury. Nice.
Yeah, 3 global. Hunter is the same, huh? It's. But yeah.
No, we didn't talk about visions or corruption. We'll
Oh
probably
no,
touch...
that's a.
No, don't even start. Don't even. Please. We're gonna be stuck here for another hour if we start talking about those things. Probably we're gonna touch on those things next week, James. And what did we do to get banned during Deathwing? That was
LFR. We did
LFR.
LFR.
It was when LFR came out, so it was a little spicy.
We did LFR.
Alright, guys. One thing I want to show you real quick is because we have to wrap this up. Yeah, it's been going. The show has gone a bit longer than expected. Let me see. There we go. So for next week, if you want, we're gonna start doing this one thing. We'll see how it goes. If people like it, then we're gonna continue. But for the guys that are here, I'm gonna be posting this probably on Twitter. Here, let me switch over to this. So this is gonna be a form that you guys can submit. If you want, me and the other guests are gonna be here next week to review your character. You know how so many people come to your stream like, oh, what essences do I use? Hey, why am I doing this and this? This will be one lucky guy where we're gonna look at him and you can submit your it will be your name and all that, so we can find you, and then a VOD, hopefully from like a YouTube video or a Twitch VOD. That's fine. And then any extra things, like what do you want specifically to touch upon? Like maybe you're like, I really don't know which essences to use here and there. So try to be thorough. It's a bit of a character roast, but that's true. That's true. But yeah, you know how it is. Like a lot of times, someone comes and he asks one question, then he asks the next question, the next question. Like this will be it. This will be the full treatment. Like we're probably going to be there for like 10-15 minutes just talking about this one guy. So if you want it to be you, then you can submit in that form, and we'll see if people like it. We're going to continue with it. We'll see how it goes, guys. Okay, there you go. Having said that, let me switch back to the. Whew, what a clean transition, guys! What a clean transition. There we go.
Yo, Wrathion is a stream master nowadays.
This is why I just told you on the Armory. Yeah, but if you want a personalized thing, go ahead and submit your stuff, guys, and we will be picking one for next week. Not sure who the guests are gonna be yet, so we're gonna try to pick someone. Like, for example, if it's a hunter, then I can talk about it. If it was a holy paladin, Jith could, etc., etc. So, having said that, any closing remarks, guys? Anything that you didn't get a chance to say? Let me see if we missed any last-minute questions. The guy who got the group that I got my mount from, Xin Lao, is here.
Your mount? What mount? What mount?
It's from the Veil.
Oh.
How many mounts does that make, Roger?
That's too many. Too many. I think it's at like 500.
Don't talk. No.
something.
Don't talk about it, Roger. No.
Yeah.
I have more than you, so don't talk about
That's true. That's true.
You guys want to guess how many I have?
3.
20.
45.
45.
it. I was
So much.
Oof.
Islands
that-
dropped too many. If it weren't for islands, then the
True.
20 guesses would be right.
Wait, 2 people wrote 38 at the same. What?
Oh wait,
Those
what?
are stream viewers. That I had 38 a few months ago.
That's a stream
Ah.
snipe right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a few actually lately. I got my payment from the boosts.
The boost.
Little
And some
spending
gold,
on
huh?
some frog people, some frog mounts that cost 300k each. Okay. Hi guys. Well, if there's nothing else to be answered, thank you so much, Jeeth, Maris, and Just Wait for being here at the first show. A little bit of technical difficulties. Did you guys have fun? I'm hoping it was a
I had fun. Thank you for the invite.
yeah. Did you guys have fun in the chat? Whoever is still here, I'm sure we lost a few people in the process, But
We lost some people in the break, but it was
yeah,
fine.
it was a bit of a long, unexpected break. But yeah, guys, we will hopefully be doing this every Monday. So we'll see how it goes. Just started. It will be up on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. Hopefully soon. But
Hopefully
again,
soon. I don't know how fast Club is.
yeah, hopefully tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh,
So method to the madness every Monday. A lot of M's, and remember, if you want your character to be roasted, submit
Roast?
in this form. It's not roasted. It's about getting some
to
expert
encourage.
help.
They're just gonna, everyone's just gonna like send in their friends' characters, yeah?
Yeah, I can't wait
can
to
do
see how
that.
many method people's information gets submitted by other people.
can you review this
Reviewing
guy?
your own character.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much for watching, guys, and everyone wave to the camera. Jeeth, come
I
on,
did
dude.
already.
Come on.
Dude, wave.
Jeez, are you
Where's that?
waving?
Nah,
Wait,
he's
Oh,
just
one second.
wave.
Just move the picture around.
he's got the
Smiles in
poker
the chat
face.
if you saw me wave. I did it very quickly. You
Yeah.
have to be pretty fast to see
It
the
was
smiles
too
if you
quick.
saw
It
it.
was too quick. Yeah, you blink, you missed it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a good night, and see you next week. And boom! All right.
I can eat pasta now, or?
They
No.
can
Here comes my plate.
they can still hear you. Okay.
Oh no.
Oh no.
All right. New
I think I
thing.
should warm. I need to warm it up again. I'm gonna be right back again. I'm gonna put it in the microwave a second time. It's cold again.
And with that, you have been listening to the Method to the Madness. Good night, guys.